Welcome back to the channel, everyone. This is, of course, another edition of the fan show where we'll be talking to fans all around the world about the game. Everton 3, Tottenham Hotspur 2. Lewis, how are you feeling about that game on Sunday?
A bit depressed, to be honest, Chris. I mean, it's just... I was honestly hoping for a lot better than that. I wasn't expecting that at all. I don't think anyone was. To be 3-0 down at half-time was just... I was just in shock. I didn't know what to think, what to say. It's just awful. It's awful. How about yourself?
Yeah, pretty fed up. I don't like looking at that Premier League table. I've got to admit, Lewis, Spurs being 15th. I know Ange Postecoglou in the post-match press conference said, look, we're still in all competitions. Yeah, that is a fact. But, where is Tottenham's next win coming from? Of course, it was very surprising Spurs being 3-0 down at half-time. We came back into it. We got a couple of goals. But, yes, we've got a lot of injuries. Are you disappointed with what Spurs have or haven't done in this transfer window? Did you expect a lot more?
Oh, 100%. I mean, it's not like the January transfer window just suddenly randomly pops up. They must have known and planned for the minute that window opened to thinking, right, we need to reinforce, we need some players in and identify the targets. They've had months to do that. We've been struggling and it's been clear for everyone to see, all of us fans, but why the board not seeing that? I mean, okay, brilliant. They got a keeper in who I think's been a fantastic signing for us, but where's the other reinforcements? I think I said before, we went out and got Bentancur and Kulusevski, and that gave us a massive lift. I'm not expecting them to go out and buy a whole new first 11. I mean, we're not far off needing that at the moment, the amount of injuries we've got.
Yeah.
But, start bringing some players in, make us start. I mean, it's not all going to happen overnight, but they just, to me, they haven't done enough. It's almost like they're kind of thinking, oh, well, these players will be all right once these players come back. But we keep picking up even more injuries in between. It's just getting ridiculous.
Lewis, are you surprised that Ange Postecoglou is still the Spurs manager?
Yes, 100%. I kept checking today when I'm not allowed my phone at work, and I kept sneaking out every now and then just to check. And I was waiting for it to come on the news. And even my mate is a United fan. He was going, he's gonna bite the bullet today. And I was like, yeah, 100%, and nothing. So I was shocked. And it's not something I want to happen, but I thought after that game, I thought that Daniel Levy's going to pull the trigger.
How are you feeling ahead of that Hoffenheim game on Thursday and, of course, the Leicester game on Sunday?
I don't know how to feel at the moment. I really don't. I mean, I just hope that the cup competition's like a distraction. They normally say if a team's doing poor in the league, it's something else to look at. And in most teams you'll see that they'll have a good run in the cup because the pressure's off in the league. We're desperate for a win in that league, and I think it's making it worse. You can see these players overthinking it. I mean, look at Son, that one-on-one with the goalkeeper. You'd have bet your house on him putting that past the goalkeeper. My 7-year-old son could have done a harder shot than what he laid off. It was just his shot of confidence. It's just, yeah, it's difficult. I mean, I normally look forward to the next game and think, right, brush it under the carpet. But how many times are we going to say that after every match? It's not good enough. It's just awful at the moment, isn't it? Just awful.
Craig, are you back with us?
Yeah. I think there was just so many people trying to get in. It was I couldn't hear anyone, but I know there's loads of people out there, so we will try and get through everybody, obviously.
I did actually warn Craig before the stream that I think I've invited 450 people. So if everyone turns up tonight, I don't know how long we're going to be here for. So it is going to be interesting. Yeah. There's a lot of Spurs fans, of course, wanting to get things off their chest and tell us how they feel. And it's great that you're all here. And we look forward to talking to every single one of you. Lewis, last question for you. The Hoffenheim game on Thursday, what are you expecting? Because it's so frustrating, isn't it? Ange Postecoglou has now confirmed that Solanke's out for a couple of weeks. Brennan Johnson's out for 3 to 4 weeks. This just seems to go on and on. But Basuma will be back for the Leicester game on Sunday.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I suppose as it gets closer to the game, the hope will start building up again that we'll see a performance. I just hope that they just manage to string more than one pass together, just show some effort. No one likes seeing their team lose, but it's when they're just so sloppy. And as you've said before, it's the senior players that are just not. None of them are turning up. It's almost like they've got a pact just to all be rubbish at the same time. I mean, you don't see it at any other club but Spurs at the moment. It's just, well, like I say, it still hurts from Sunday, and it's very difficult for me not to come on this show and F and blind about it, because I'm really peed off with what I'm watching at the moment. It's not good enough. But I'm hoping that as we get closer to Thursday, the hope will come back in, and I just hope that they just turn up and just get a win. Just get a win for us. Give us something to cheer about.
Lewis, if I haven't asked you a question that you want to talk about something in particular, let it out. And sometimes, we all feel a bit like that. We all feel a bit like you. Yeah,
it's just the only bonus I had is I've got a guy that I work with, Ollie, and he's a big United fan, and he was dreading coming into work. And then he said, "Oh, I knew you'd be in." He goes, "And I saw your team lost as well." He says, "So we could both be depressed together at work." So we just been moaning all day because they're having a similar sort of season, up and down, no consistency. It's just crap, and we're not used to being there, at all. I wouldn't 15th. I was expecting us to struggle a bit, but 15th.
Yeah,
it's poor. It's just poor, and I know we've got injuries. I know all that, and
yeah.
But some of these players, we've still got internationals on the pitch, and they're not doing anything. They're not helping.
Yeah, it's not good enough. Lewis, always great to talk to you. Thank you so much. And sorry about the technical issues at the start. We're getting to the full flow of it now. So we'll talk to you soon. Thank you so much.
Okay, take care, Chris. See you later, Craig.
Cheers, mate.
See you later. Tell mate.
What a poor start from us, Craig, on the old technical front. Let's get straight into it now. We're going to talk to Terry Kim from New York. Terry, how are you?
I'm doing okay. It's been a rough couple days here, without a doubt. I mean, I've been following Spurs for 10 years now, and this kind of feels like the lowest point, at least for me, in terms of just the general fan sentiment, the infighting, the vitriol that I see. I mean, yesterday, Chris, I was getting ready to record one of those Spurs around the world reactions, and then I saw the video that you put out of the abuse that the players were getting. And I saw some of the comments, just the infighting amongst the fans. And honestly, I was just a bit disheartened, and I couldn't muster up the heart to record something. I really don't like seeing that. I didn't like seeing the abuse towards Ange at Bournemouth. Having said that, I completely understand the frustration of the fans, and especially those who are there. I imagine it's a long drive to Liverpool, and I imagine it's an even longer drive back. But when abuse, I think that crosses the line, and I don't understand how is that productive? If you are a player, these are human beings. Like, if you're yelling wanker at them, is that going to motivate them to perform for you, to try harder next time? No. I mean, no one wants to be yelled at like that. So it feels like a pretty dark time right now.
It is, Terry, and to hear an American use that word is even funnier, because I know Americans don't use that word at all. But look on the bright side, you got a new president today, right? So everything's going well at the moment.
Wanker is an inappropriate term for the new president too. So,
we don't do politics on air.
No,
we don't. Thank God. Terry, where do you stand on it? Are you still Angie? You sound like you still want to give him time.
I am. I expected to wake up this morning and see news that he was going to be sacked. I'm still happy he's there. I mean, I've repeatedly backed Ange. I will say that the tipping point for me is when players no longer play for the manager, and that's worrying because we're starting to see that. I thought some of the players yesterday, you could see they weren't playing for him, and it's the first time we've been able to say that. That is worrying. I think about some of the players like Bergvall, Spence, Kulusevski, of course, Kinski. You can see the effort that they were putting in. Some of the others, just Archie Gray, Dragishin, Poro. I don't put them into that group just because they just looked so tired. I mean, they looked jaded, just dejected, almost clueless sometimes. But some of the, again, I don't want to go into knocking specific players, but the effort wasn't there, and whether we win or lose, that's the most frustrating thing, is when you don't see some players kind of giving it their all, which is why I think some of the vitriol started after the game. But still, I still feel like it crossed the line.
Terry, where's our next win coming from?
Thursday. It's so I don't want to hear about this Dr. Tottenham stuff. Hoffenheim is, I think they're actually near the bottom of the Bundesliga. They're one of their players or their captains came out and had a rant similar to what you would probably want to hear or expect to hear from a Tottenham player, as well. I know we're really depleted at this point. I'd like to see a couple of lineup changes for Thursday, just to bring a little bit more energy, a little bit more positive impetus on the ball. And I think we can do that. I think Ange learned from this game. I think this everyone's talking about this back three that he went to. I think it's just out of necessity, right? I mean, we only had what 12, 13 real players that we could play in the game yesterday. So I have hope. I have hope for Thursday. That's all we can hold on to at this point, right?
Yeah, it's we are these worrying times, Terry, isn't it? I mean, what needs to happen? Is it just as simple as getting some players in the transfer window, or is it's deeper rooted than that, isn't it?
Yeah, it's I was hoping that the reaction to yesterday wouldn't be an and sack and would instead be just a collective kick in the club's behind to make some action on the transfers. Still haven't seen anything. I know Ange has said that it's all about bringing in the right players, not bringing in any players, and I generally agree with that. Today, in this moment of desperation, I'm almost like, let's just bring anybody in, just the body to give some of those players some rest. Or give some of the guys who were on the bench yesterday a chance. I mean, even Yang. I don't know how physically ready he is, how mentally ready he is. It can't He can't perform much worse than some of those players did yesterday. I mean, there was a point in the first half yesterday where I was thinking to myself, because Everton looked quite silky here, and then I thought, like, I'm saying Everton looks silky. I mean, they haven't scored in almost what 400 minutes before they met us. I mean, the fact that I thought that Everton looked like Real Madrid in the first half is quite a damning indictment against us. It's, on offense, we were just so predictable. There's so many times where on either wing it would just get to someone and the ball would just stop, and then just to be so open in defense again and again and again. Yeah, I'd like to see some new players in there just to give a little bit of just a different flavor, just a new energy. And yeah, the transfers, it's just I'm desperate now. Let's just get any bodies in, even if they're the wrong bodies. Just any kind of stopgap to get us through to I was gonna say get us through to February, but at the rate that we're racking up injuries now, who knows? The Solanke injury, that really is a tough one to swallow. That one is it feels like just morale wise that seemed to affect the club as well too yesterday. It's tough. It's tough. But I do have hope for Thursday, Chris and Craig. I really do.
Terry, last question. What do you make of everyone blaming all of these injuries on Ange Postecoglou?
He can't be blameless, can he? I mean, it can't be a coincidence. It sounds like the Solanke injury was just kind of a freak occurrence. It didn't sound like there was any contact, that he just went to kick the ball and it was his knee. Just the fact that there are so many similar types of injuries, it's really worrying. I think partly he gets to blame. I think he gets a lot of pressure as well, because game to game now there's so much pressure to reverse the vibes, that he's starting players who aren't ready, and like we've seen that with Romero, we've seen that with Van de Ven. Then you have other players like Richarlison who seem to be ready, and they weren't ready. That I think you have to blame some of the physios and the medical staff there. I'm glad to see that they're once again posting positions for some new staff there. It's while you can't blame him completely, I mean, there has to be something. It's a mix of whatever's going on in training. It's a mix of the number of minutes that they're getting. It's a mix of the other injuries that are causing injuries to players who are still playing. It's just whatever could go wrong seems to be going wrong for us at this point. It's just compounding on top of each other. That's not all Ange's fault. It's Ange's fault. It's the board's fault. It's Lange's fault. It's the players' fault. But at the end of the day, I mean, we're all in this together, right? The fans, the traveling fans, the board, Ange, the players. We're all trying to get to the same thing. Like, we're all fighting with each other.
Yeah.
It's just counterproductive. It really is.
Terry, thank you so much for joining us again. We look forward to talking to you again very soon.
Yeah, we'll talk to you guys. Talk to you on Thursday. Come on, you Spurs. Thanks.
Have a good week. Cheers, Terry. We're now going to go to Spurs YouTuber Johnny Hamey. Johnny, how are you?
Dear. Well, woke up this morning thinking I might hear something, but really, were we going to hear anything? My opinion is, as much as I feel that he should be sacked or he might be sacked, I think that Ange is the buffer zone between the fans and Daniel. And should he evict or get rid of Ange, it's just him and the fans. There's no protection whatsoever. I mean, listen, when you think about it, Chris and Craig, 4 months searching for a manager, we all had our dream list. We all had an idea of who we'd like to have, who our first, second, third, fourth, and maybe even fifth choice would be. But there were very, very, very few, maybe a handful of people that thought Ange Postecoglou was top of their list and he was their man. Look, I mean, why are we depressed? I mean, we have got 9 victories in the last 9 months, so maybe we shouldn't be so depressed. I just think that it's not getting any better. And, yesterday, it's quite ironic, really, that the players who Ange probably wouldn't have played if it hadn't been for injuries are the very players who are standing up and performing for him right now. Archie Gray, Lewis Bergvall, Jed Spence. And they are the shining beacons for tomorrow, whereas the signings and the players that we thought would step up and lead the way were sadly missing. I mean, there was no leadership qualities on that pitch yesterday from Son or from Maddison. And I think that's is shameful, really. And yes, I don't condone the sort of behaviour that went on after the game, because that doesn't help anything. But I feel for the fans. Chris, you've been there, I've been there when we travelled up and down the country, and it's that long drive home, and you're thinking to yourself, what am I doing? What am I
It was
doing?
a long day yesterday. It was a long day. I left at 7 a.m., got back at midnight, and and I'm the same as you, Johnny. Woke up this morning. I must have woke up, actually. I know this is going to sound sad, but I must have woke up about 4 times in the night, just checking my phone. Has Postecoglou gone? And then, of course, first thing this morning, you think, has he gone? Is he going to be replaced? Because, of course, you know as well as I do how quickly that Pochettino to Jose Mourinho switch happened. If someone had an early night that night, Pochettino was our manager, and then when they woke up, he was gone, and Jose Mourinho was holding up the shirt. It was done that quickly. Johnny, what needs to change? Because I feel like at the moment, certainly the game yesterday, some of the players not performing. I feel like the manager got it wrong yesterday. I feel like the board need to be held responsible in terms of, helping this manager out. The manager has come out publicly a number of times now and said, we need help.
It's funny how he said he didn't need help earlier on. I'm very happy with the squad. You know what's kind of ironic? That when we actually had Mickey van der Ven, Romero, and we signed Radu, I was saying, wouldn't it be great if we went to a back three and played a back three? Would it not give us a little bit more protection at the back? Because we had 3 centre-backs who like to go forward. And if one goes forward, the other 2 can drop back and hold the fort. He doesn't play it all season. And then yesterday, against Everton, when we've got Davis, who's just come back from injury, Radu, who looks absolutely out on his feet, playing a system he's never played before, and an 18-year-old number 6 playing centre-back. We all know the scenario. And he plays a back three. I was saying it's a back three, and everyone said it's not a back three. It's definitely not a back three. He's playing a flat back 4, and no, he's playing a back 3. And let's be honest, if it hadn't been for 2 really good saves from Kinski and an absolutely horrendous control of the ball from Dominic Calvert-Lewin, it could have been 5 or 6.
Why do you think he went to the back 3, Johnny?
Do you know what, Craig? I am absolutely gobsmacked. I mean, when you've been calling for something for so long, when he's actually got a full-strength team, when we're conceding goals with a full-strength team, for you Ange apologists out there, right? When we have a full-strength team and yet we're still conceding and we look vulnerable at the back, and I'm thinking, well, maybe, once we signed Dragou, this was after, the January transfer window. I can't remember if you guys remember when he actually got his first game. I think it was weeks before he saw a minute of football. I'm mystified. What it does is it shows a manager that's under so much pressure. He's clutching at straws, and suddenly the guy who wouldn't be flexible in any shape, way, or form is suddenly throwing out shapes. He's throwing out transformations and changes to his system, and you can't suddenly throw that on a squad after you've indoctrinated them with one style of play, and it showed. And don't let those 2 goals, which I've seen so many of people say, oh, but we nearly pulled it back. This was just because Everton sat back. This is an Everton team that had scored 15 goals in 20 games. And they scored 3 goals in 45 minutes. Please be real, guys. Please. Yeah,
I agree, Johnny. Yeah. I actually said this last night. I feel like the scoreline actually flattered us in the end, 3-2. What needs to change? And do you think that Ange Postecoglou will get until the end of the season?
It's very difficult to sack him, as much as whatever I feel about him being the wrong person for the job. You have to have a plan of succession. Brighton, a smaller club, have a plan of succession for everything, for every manager. No player is sold unless there's someone to come in and replace him. We never have a plan. We don't have plans. We have things like winging a transfer. Oh, this is an opportunity. And now we find ourselves in a situation where the manager isn't succeeding. The managers that we probably would approach are in the jobs and very unlikely to leave at this stage of the season. So where does that leave us? Back to Ryan Mason, which isn't going to help anybody. Who would come in at a short notice to fulfill at the end of the season? No one really. So he's caught between a rock and a hard post. Even if he gets the players back, are we going to see a turn? I really don't know where we go from here, Chris. I don't think even if you sack him, I honestly believe that these injuries are 100% caused and inflicted by intense training and an intense pressing system. And why are we having an intense practice on a Saturday before a game? You're playing 3 games a week. You don't need intense practice. What these players need is recuperation right now. You can see it. To a man, Kulu, who was on fire, is now struggling to hold up the ball. He looks shot. So many players look shot. And this is personally, I think, down to him. Look, we all know about the board. We all know about the backing and all the rest of it. But, Ange's had more money and more players than Pochettino, Conte, Mourinho, and Nuno. So, I don't really want to hear that he's had nothing, because he has.
It's true, Johnny. I'm going to put this stat here. £398 million major signings under Ange Postecoglou. He's had money to spend.
He's had money to spend. And, the fact that, he hasn't utilised that squad, Manor Solomon, he sent him out on loan. He didn't want him. Jed Spence was going out on loan. And then he was trying to get rid of him. And then he said, no, I want you to be part of the squad. Then what did he do? He dumped him out of the Europa League squad, which I could hardly believe. And then the first opportunity he gets to play in the Carabao Cup as a right back, he plays Archie Gray as a right back. And the only reason he came on in that game was because Destiny got injured. And what happened? He saved his bacon in the 87th minute with that goal. And how was he rewarded? Dumped out the squad again, dumped out the team. None of this makes sense to me. It really doesn't. He's had the players. He's had more backing and more understanding than any manager under Levy that I can remember. Better managers have had better results and lost their job. And that is the truth. Unfortunately, it's the truth. We sit third from bottom in the form table in the last 90 days. There's so many stats out there, Craig. I won't bore you with all of them. But, one win in our last 10 games, and that was against Southampton. And, of course, I missed it. Typical.
Johnny, last question. Johnny, yes. Last question for you. Why do you think Daniel Levy hasn't pushed the button yet?
Because he needs protection. Could you imagine the inferno that will take place if he pushes the button and there's no answer? He doesn't have the answer. It would be a reactionary response. Who's he going to bring in now? Would you if you were an agent right now and Spurs are after a player, would you encourage your player to sign for Ange Postecoglou the way things are now, not knowing, now listen, son, let's wait, let's see what happens in the summer, because this guy could be out of a job and we don't know what manager's coming in next, and so let's not wait, let's not sign, right? That's going to be a problem for them, number one. And number two, if you were Iriola, who, let's be honest, right? I've heard all the stories about, Ange. Iriola, okay, trains almost in a park, gets dressed in a porter cabin, okay, plays in 11,000-seater stadium, sold his best player to us, has 10 injuries. I don't hear him moan about his injuries. What he does, he adapts and tries to win a game. He has in-game management. That's what he's about. And Ange doesn't have that. He's not going to leave Bournemouth, I don't feel, at this stage, to come to Spurs. I don't think Silva will leave to come to Spurs at this stage. And nor do I think even McKenna would leave Ipswich at this stage to come to Spurs. So where does that leave us? Who are we going to call? Harry Redknapp, get on his hands and knees and get Harry back till the end of the season? I mean, literally, who literally is there that Daniel hasn't fallen out with that he could bring back? Poch isn't coming back till the end of the season, is he?
No. Johnny, always great having you on. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks very much, and come on, you Spurs.
Thank you very much.
Johnny.
We're now going to go to Richard. Richard, evening. How are you?
I'm pretty good, Chris. How are you? Can you hear me?
Yeah, great to have you here. How are you feeling as a Spurs fan right now, Richard?
Totally deflated, to be honest. I mean, my breaking point was a long time ago, certainly more than yours. I know you've been backing Ange, publicly, but I saw the signs even from pre-season against Bayern Munich before the season started. Seeing that he hadn't worked on tightening the defense or anything like that. His man management has been poor. I mean, what Johnny has said, I echo really. And it's just very concerning. I haven't been this low since the days of when Terry Venables departed the club with Alan Sugar. Because back in those days, I'm sure you both can remember, we were building something. And, under this manager, he's short-term anyway. We're just heading downwards. We're dropping like a stone. He's definitely on my list of 3 worst managers in my lifetime. I've been a Spurs supporter. And I've been supporting Spurs since probably the season you were born, Chris. 1980-81.
What is it, Richard? What don't you like about Ange Postecoglou?
What I don't like about him is just his tactics and the phrase "that's who we are" and not being able to have proper changes during a game. Sometimes you've got to lock shop, keep it tight, deal with what players that you've got, and play them in their proper positions. I feel sorry for Gray playing as a right back, a centre half, and not playing in his proper position. Why not try youth? Dorrington, for example, as a centre half. Spurs have been renowned for actually bringing through players from the academy, from the youth. You can just look to the list of players that Craig will remember as well, your Falcaos, your players like that from times gone by. He's not, utilising his squad properly. And the way Spence was treated was shocking. I mean, left out of the Europa squad. And Reggie, for example, Reggie as a left back. If Reggie was used, perhaps, we wouldn't have this situation where Udogie is injured. And these players, they do have injury problems, don't they? And it's no coincidence that during his time at Celtic a few years ago, he had the same sort of problem, didn't he? And he owned up to it. Whether it's his training methods or whatever, I can't see us getting out of this where we are. And it's worrying that we're so low in the table. So it's very, very concerning because a team like Spurs, with the amount of money we've spent, surely we should be higher up. And to coin your favorite phrase, I mean, a few years ago, you said the trophies are coming with Jose Mourinho. And I know I
haven't said that for a while.
I know you were totally at breaking point when Pochettino left. I remember that. It was like somebody had died.
Do you know what, though, Richard? I just want to see a manager backed fully, because how many times have we all said we've always been a couple of players away from really pushing on, from really achieving something? How are you feeling about the backing of Ange Postecoglou? Because a number of very reliable journalists today, Football.London, the Daily Telegraph, the Guardian, they've all come out and said that Spurs are willing to give Ange Postecoglou the time. They want to back him. They want this to work. Is he going to be backed in the next couple of weeks in this transfer window significantly, with some decent players, with some players that are going to make a real impact from now until the end of the season?
My hope was that he would have got the sack, because can you have any confidence that, January is a hard market is already, isn't it, Chris? To get players and the type of players that he wants as well. We can't just present players to him and say, here, these are your players. He's got to obviously have an input and, decide exactly what players he wants and are they willing to come? That's another thing as well. You can't force a player to come. I mean, I was quite excited by their PSG centre half, the one we were originally interested in, but nothing's happened there yet. Apparently, we've got players coming back from injuries, such as Romero and obviously Van de Ven. So players on the way back, but can you honestly say that you can have faith with this particular manager? I haven't got any faith in him at all. And from early doors of the season, I just couldn't see us, continuing to progress. I mean, look at some of the results we've had. The 6-3 against Liverpool. I'm not exaggerating. It could have been 10. They could have scored 10. Rice of Arsenal was saying they could have scored a lot more in the derby. It's just not going to progress with this manager. I hope I'm wrong, but I just can't see it. I don't know about you guys.
Richard, who would you bring in if Andrew was to get the sack tomorrow? Who would you like to see come in?
I would like, well, Terzic is available, apparently, Xavi. But if we're not really interested in those two, get an interim manager in. I mean, Johnny was talking about Harry jokingly, but look, Ranieri at Roma came to Spurs and they had Ranieri, who just recently retired. He came back out of retirement for Roma. I think Harry could do a job right until the end of the season. He would actually have his big entourage. I think he'd have his big entourage. Remember, Harry's not just him on his own. You'd have your Jordans and you'd have this person, that person. I think he delegates very well. And he makes you feel 10 feet tall. I would like to see him get the best out of someone like a Madison. You know, he's a good motivator. You know, we may be a bit of a laughing stock if we did bring him back, but look what we are now. I mean, you have Carragher talking about like we're an academy club. Like, you know, in terms of, did you hear what Carragher said during the game? Where he said that Spurs, the team, they're like an academy that is out there. Just play your game and don't worry about the result. And that's the impression, you know, teams you get with this particular manager. Just play. That's who we are. It's shocking.
When I spoke to Harry Redknapp, Richard, he said he would do the job for nothing. He'd love to come back.
I know Harry.
Yeah.
So I know he'd come back, and I think he would motivate the players. We're talking about for what, 18 games or possibly more. I'll give us more of a chance against Liverpool with Harry than this manager that we've got at present. Seriously.
Richard, last question for you. Of course, even Ange said in the post-match press conference last night after the Everton defeat that we're still in all the competitions. You know, we're still in the Europa League, the FA Cup, the League Cup. Do you expect Spurs to lift silverware this year? Because I've got to say that Liverpool game is going to be very, very tough. I know a number of fans, you know, are counting on us going all the way to a final and perhaps lifting a trophy. But, you know, based on yesterday's performance, it's hard to, you know, think about trophies at the moment, isn't it?
I don't give us a chance in hell. I'd love to be completely wrong, but the way he sets up a team, I can't see us actually doing that. Our record at Anfield for years has been poor, and I can't see us getting through the semi-final. I would love to be proved wrong. We struggled against Tamworth, didn't we? And what type of team is he going to pick for Thursday with Leicester in mind? So, you know, it's a big struggle. I'm very surprised that he's still with the club, but there are options. There are better options, in my view, than having a Postecoglou as manager. It's scary to even try to think of backing with more players that another manager coming in would want differently. And he's spent a lot of money, hasn't he? It's scary.
Yeah. Richard, you've been such a great guest. Thank you so much. And please come back again. We'd love to talk to you again.
Nice to speak to you both.
Thank you so much.
Cheers.
Bye.
There are so many people waiting. I'm so sorry for keeping you waiting. I didn't think that this many people would turn up this evening, but it's obvious that so many people want to talk about Spurs right now. We're going to go to Sam. Sam, good evening. How are you?
Good evening, gents. First time caller. Really like your show. Just echoing what everyone else has said. Depressed with the results and surprised that Ange is still there. I think, to be honest, all the injuries, the results, Ange has got to take a lot of the blame for. I think one of the previous callers mentioned how he's treated Spence by not selecting him in the Europa squad, overplaying Destiny. Destiny gets injured, overplaying Brennan, he gets injured, not playing Reguilon. So, you know, a lot of the kind of results and the lack of change is the reason why we're in this place, really. It's very, very surprising, like I said. Having that, we've got 11 days left of the January transfer window. So I think he'll probably stay, because if they had if they were going to sack him, they would have sacked him by now to allow the new manager to do some business in the January transfer window, and they haven't. And we've brought in one goalkeeper, so yeah, I don't think. I think he's here to stay, and they are looking to back him, but unfortunately, he's not willing to change, and I don't see the results changing, to be honest, because I don't think he's going to try anything new. He's shot himself in the foot with his team selections and overplaying players, and we're paying the price for it now.
Sam, do you think the board have got to take a bit of responsibility here? I mean, I know Chris put the figures on the screen a little while ago about how much money he's had to spend, but do you think, I mean, basically it comes from the top, doesn't it? Now you can see there the amount of money that he's had to spend, 400 million. So you can't say that Daniel Levy hasn't given him money. All right, a couple of those transfers were due, players we signed before, and we had to pay the fee while he was in post. So that's fine. But he's still had a lot of money, hasn't he?
He has, but I think you touched on it. I mean, if you look at Kulusevski, Solomon, Porro, these are the players that, like you said, the fees were due. I think we are where we are with the board. Unfortunately, we can't get rid of them. We know that in Daniel Levy's ownership, we've won one trophy in 21 years. But coming back to my point, Andrew's not helping himself. Like I said, his team selection, even the players that he's bought, right? Everyone knows that we play a high line. So you need a centre back with pace, good, comfortable on the ball. Radi Dragic, I mean, why is he bought him? He's never going to be suited in Andrew's system. So yes, the board have backed him, but again, Andrew's really not helping himself. And all of these injuries that we're getting is just because he is overplaying players. He's not utilizing his squad as well. And I think you can't blame the board for that, although, the board has got a lot to do with the mismanagement and the lack of success for the past 20 years. But I think Ange is very, very lucky to still be in a job. And right now it's very, very depressing being a Tottenham fan.
Sam, last question for you. Are the cup competitions keeping Ange in the job at the moment, would you say? Because, that semi-final at Anfield, I know I keep going on about it, but the amount of times I've gone up to Liverpool, come back very disappointed. That is a ground that we don't seem to get any results at. Chelsea, Arsenal, equally as frustrating. These grounds, this is why I want to see a big change at Tottenham, us going to these stadiums and getting results. How confident are you that we can get a result at Liverpool and go through to that Carabao Cup final?
Mate, I think that's why we're fans, right? History will tell you we've got. I think the last time that we won at Anfield wasn't Teddy Sheringham and Klinsmann playing for us. I can't remember the last time that we won at Anfield, right? I think was it Klinsmann or Sheringham got the winner? It was 2-1. Look, what we've got, Hoffenheim next. I think the next couple of Europa League games we've got to win to qualify for or finish in the top 8. You've got the Liverpool game. Honestly, I don't want to be pessimistic. I just don't see us winning it. And it's not even... history suggests that. We've only got a 1-0 win. Solanke's out. Johnson's out. Is it keeping him in the job? If it is, by the end of the January transfer window, we could potentially be out of 2 cups? If we lose the Hoffenheim game, it's going to be very hard to qualify in the top 8. Liverpool away, do you see us winning? Or, it's going to be very difficult for us to keep a clean sheet it looks very, very bleak. If that is the reason why he's still in the job, I think that's very naive, because again, the way that he's been setting up teams and selecting the teams, it looks very, very doubtful.
Sam, before you go, what's the weather like in Dubai at the moment?
Do you know what? I knew you were going to ask that. I feel embarrassed saying it's quite cold for us. It's 10 to midnight, and it's 17 degrees, but that's cold.
I'm surprised Craig's not asking for a trip over.
Mate,
Yeah,
do you know
absolutely.
what? Well, do you know what? It's a misconception that there's a lot of Arsenal fans in Dubai. We've got a massive following here. I've been out here for 10 years now. Got a massive following. So make sure when you guys come, give us a shout, and I'll show you the lovely beaches and bars in Dubai.
Absolutely. We look forward to that, Sam. Thank you so much for coming on, and hopefully we'll talk to you again soon.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers, Sam.
We're now going to go to Sai. Sai, evening. How are you?
I'm good, Chris. Just had a little holiday down in Cape Verde, so I'm feeling chipper, albeit the football dragged me down a bit, but you can't have everything, can you?
You're on holiday now?
No, I'm just back. Came back.
Oh, you're just back.
Yesterday. Yeah, so all is good in the world for me. So
I know. Obviously, when you've been on the channel before, you give us so many facts and stats. What have you got now?
Well, I've got a few things for you. First of all, just starting with the game yesterday, that non-penalty changes everything. Let's not forget that was a penalty, Stonewall. And if that foul had taken place anywhere else on the pitch, we go 1-0 up. Does Sonny miss his second chance then? I don't think so. But there we go. Just my view. So for me, I think we're a bit of a laughing stock at times, sometimes justifiable, sometimes not. We are the perennial underachievers, and we've institutionalized underachievement. But a lot of it's our own fault as a club, the owners, staff, players, the fans alike. I don't think, I'm not a fan of the blame game when one club employee says it's on me or on them, as Ange does. It's every Spurs employee's fault. That's my view. It starts at the very top, doesn't it? For me, ultimately, in every business team organisation, the buck stops with the man who has overall responsibility for the business. And, the guy that's supposed to ensure major decisions are taken in the whole organisation's interest, and that's the CEO. And I'm just going to quote something here from CEO from Investopedia. The CEO's primary responsibility includes making major corporate decisions, driving the workforce and resources of an organisation towards strategic goals, and acting as the main point of communication between the board of directors, the corporate operations, and its stakeholders. And the stakeholders in terms of Tottenham are us, the fans, as well. We are stakeholders. We pay our hard-earned money to be there. So ultimately, the buck stops somewhere. And who I'm attesting to here. The press hold out our CEO, chairman, as a commercial genius. He's done well in many areas. We do spend £120 million per season on transfer fees. We do have FFP capacity to grow the squad. The extension of the stadium concerts is genius, because at 5 million an event that we will get, 14 events additional, we get 70 million quid back in the coffers. But we don't have cash now. So if you want to hold the chairman up, he decided not to sell the naming rights. That's a decision of brand versus cash. Cash is king in the land of big business. And if our self-appointed CEO wants to take credit for his game-changing stadium, board and high-level appointments, then he has to take responsibility for the overall failings. Donna Marie Cullen, apparently a double master's in politics and English, and from the Tottenham website it says Donna was previously with Lord Bell's group of companies, Chime PLC. She specialised in the field of corporate and financial communications and marketing, having also worked in public affairs. Well, when's she going to use those skills at Spurs? Because she keeps letting Danny Boy put his foot in his mouth over so many things. And I think why? Because she's a patsy. So she just she's just there to make Levy look good. And can somebody tell me what Scott Munn does at the club? I really don't know. Again, I quote him. He said, "I look after everything that's to do with football operations. So whether it's the technical element through Johan Langer, or the women's football, the academy, through to operations training centre, then it's about us competing at every level." Well, you're failing, mate. You are failing. And then I've got one other point on this. How the hell did we let Paul Barber leave? To this day, I'll never understand that. Angie's to blame. They're all to blame. I love the attacking playing style when it works. One of the best I've seen since supporting Spurs. I love his mentality. He's a man that could break this institutionalised underachievement, but he needs help. He does believe in to dare is to do. However, I think he's failed us this summer because he wasn't demanding with the squad issues we have. Also, he's to blame because he knows the demands that his football has on players. And why didn't he ensure that he had the players to undertake the football he wants to play? And then changing that thing on Sunday, to me, was absolutely bloody ridiculous, because how can you school players in a week when you've spent the whole year or season turning around saying it's who we are, mate, and we want to stay true to our philosophy? Well, you didn't on Sunday. So you got to put your hold up there. Then the big one for me, recruitment is a continual balls up. An absolute balls up, and the CEO's got to take responsibility for this, including the big problem on club trained players. So someone decided to sell Skip in the summer. If we kept him, we would have had another club trained player, which meant we could have had another Europa place open, because we've had to limit the numbers. Well, if you didn't do that, you'd have had Spence available for Europe, wouldn't you? And the only reason Whiteman and Austin are here is because if they hadn't have been registered and in the Europa squad, we'd have lost 2 more players out of the squad number that we could have. So, quite frankly, overseeing that is pathetic, that you can't do this. Then ENIC, they put 35 million in December. Why can you do it in August? That's where, because we could have got a left back and left centre back who don't want to play Reguilon. And everybody knew we needed a left centre back. If you address the left back position, Destiny doesn't get injured, as he could have rotated. Address the left back position, Jed can rotate with Pedro. That would have worked. Address the left centre back position, and you could put Archie into the middle of midfield, replacing the wastes of space that I see as Bentancur and Yves Bissouma. And also, if you'd had Spence in the squad, you could have had cover for Europe. And again, for me, you could have had Gray playing in midfield, allowing you to sell one of Biss, Rodri, and get the cash for the left back or left centre back. And the money thing, we never buy outright anyway, so we split the cost. So I don't see why we couldn't have got the other players. And I want to address one point that Johnny always comes up with, and Johnny H, and he does make me laugh with this, Don Fabio. That name really makes me laugh. And I often hear Johnny say that Don is cooking or he's been cooking. Well, if he's cooking, for me, he hasn't had the hob or the oven on. He's culpable for the lack of club-trained players now, because he addressed some of the issues, but the club currently has 18-year-olds that aren't good enough. But we do have the ability to bring in 2 18-year-olds that are good enough and performing brilliantly. So when he took charge at Spurs, Graham Bergvall were 14. Where are the 14-year-olds we should have had that ready for first team now? They're not there. So why don't we have them ready for the first team like those boys? Then people throw in that he got Sarr and Udogie. Sarr was 18 when he joined. Then he had a season in France. Destiny was 18, 19, then had a season in Italy. So for me, it's a joke that we couldn't produce players that are 18, 19, 20 now, all under Don Fabio's watch. And I just want to do one other thing, Chris. Sorry, it's a diatribe. But if you look at the players that the Don bought, Christian Romero, hit. Brian Gill, Hill, miss. Emerson Royale, miss. Pat Matassar, hit. Pierluigi Gallini, miss. Rodrigo Bentancur, jury's out. Dejan Kulusevski, hit. Richarlison, miss. Yves Bissouma, miss. Ivan Perisic, miss. Fraser Foster, miss. Jed Spence, jury's still out for me. He's done well recently, but not over an extended period. Clement Longley. Who remembers how happy all the fan base was with Clement Longley? Then we've got Destiny Ujogi, hit. Arno Danjuma, miss. Pedro Porro, hit. So for this Don, who's always cooking for everybody, 5 hits, 2 juries out, and 9 misses. Less than a 50% success rate. Who appointed Paratici and Langer? Well, we all know who. Langer. Why no deals in place for early January? Mind-blowing. And then the injuries that people have mentioned, players are monitored within an inch of their lives. Ange can only make decisions on the voluminous amounts of data he gets. So someone says, oh, why is so-and-so playing? Well, physiology dictates that some people can take workload better than others. I know myself. Played with a brilliant footballer who was explosive, and he was always injured. I was a, hard-working, plodding midfielder. I only missed 1 game in about 5 years because my physiology was different to his. And the intense training, does anyone really believe that we're flogging the players to death at the moment? I can't buy that. And the expectations after Christmas are unrealistic. The numbers haven't increased. We get 1 player back, another one goes out. It's just mad. Then you come down to players. Have we got on-field leaders? Do we have on-field role models? Have we got on-field winners? Do we grind out wins? Do we win ugly? That's on the players. I'm just going to read out a few names who used to drive our team. Mike England, Steve Perryman, Graham Roberts, Maxi Miller, Gary Mabber, Pat Vanden Houwe, Edgar Davids, even dear old Pierre-Emile Højbjerg. Now I'll shut up, Chris. Sorry about that.
So I was going to say, there is so much there. We can't possibly go through all of that.
But
I tell you what, the next time I want to record a podcast in 10 minutes, I'm going to invite you on, just ask you one question, and then I'm going to say thanks for watching. See you later. That's it.
That's it. Time's up.
Well, there you go. You did say you wanted to hear our opinion, so there's
absolutely.
And I'm potted things. So,
this is exactly what this show is about. Come on, Craig and I don't even need to ask you a question. Just come on and tell us how you feel. That's exactly what this show is about. So I thank you so much.
Can I just say, I do think they all are to blame. You can't just say it's the manager this or it's the chairman this or whatever. It is the whole thing. It's the whole thing, not just one.
Yeah. I said this yesterday. So
Chris.
Players, manager, the board. I feel like everyone, needs to step up. At the moment, I feel like there are problems everywhere at the minute, and that's what's so disappointing with it. But Si, we look forward to having you on the podcast very soon. I'll make sure that an invitation gets out to you as soon as possible.
God bless you, mate. I look forward to speaking to you again. And sorry for the diatribe.
No problem. Thank you so much. Speak to you soon.
Cheers, guys.
Bye.
Sorry, Craig. I ought to bring you in a little bit more. Try and get in there. But if people want to come on and vent, let them.
That's right, and I don't think we needed. I was one of those guests. We didn't need to ask questions because this is what it's all about. We shouldn't necessarily have to ask people questions. If you want to come on here and tell us exactly what you're thinking, it makes it easier for us, and it makes you get more words in, like Si did. Because Si's ramblings, they were not ramblings; they were really good points. So thanks a lot for that.
Well, someone who's always got a lot to say, Brian in Canada. He's nipped out of work again, and I hope your boss is not working or not watching this again, Brian. How are you, Brian?
I hope not. I hope not. First of all, I have to say, I've been speaking a lot with that Si the Fox. Wonderful human being, wonderful man, and just starting on the streaming pods, and he speaks incredibly well. The other thing I want to address before we talk Spurs is obviously about that tweet you put out yesterday, Chris, which I commented on straight away. And I just want to address it because you have invited me on many, many a time. You and I have spoken that time when I was at the Levy Out protest. You were doing your bit for Sky Sports. You and I have spoken many occasions. And every time I come on, you say to me, give Levy hell, go for broke, say what you want, do what you want. Don't. And the fact that people come on and this whole social media and YouTube politics that it's become, where we call people out individually, attack channels, it's all nonsense. You have me on. You've always said, speak what I want to speak about. And I just hate it when people are doing this now. the longer and longer us as a fan base are moaning at each other, the more and more this club is falling apart because of the inbreeding and inbreeding. I wish it was inbreeding. Fighting between people. It's just ridiculous. But it was a pleasure to be invited to come back on and speak with you and Craig, and I hope you two are both well.
Thanks, Brian.
Brian, how are you feeling about that defeat yesterday at Everton?
I will say that I'll start with, I came on last week and spoke after we'd lost to the Filth. And you and Craig will remember I said, I'll snap your hand off for a draw at Goodison. Well, the exact words I said. And it was, you're defeatist, you're negative. Well, hello. Unfortunately, I think we are in a bigger mess than anyone can think is possible. I don't know where we go. I honestly, as a football club right now, I don't know where we go. I look at it today, and for example, Graham Potter has been at West Ham 1 week. He's already dropping £57 million bids for Premier League strikers. They're in a Champions League or chasing team. Yeah, once again, we're searching for opportunities. We've had 18 months with this manager. We've had from one end of the window, from September to now to have a look at what the data analytics says, and we're searching for opportunities. Yeah, managers that have been at a club less than a week can drop £57 million. The club want to keep coming out and say, we back our manager. Ange's the man. We stand by him. Well, stop talking and start acting like you're backing him. Act like you're backing him. I can't back him any longer. I have come to the point after the Arsenal game, Chris, it was a step too far for me. 15th in the league, dropping at an alarming rate. I just can't do it anymore. But I understand people that may want to do it. But if this, and to tell you the truth, it's irrelevant what the fan base thinks, whether we want Ange in or we want Ange out. If this football club are coming out and talking the talk about he's the man, he's the one to lead us through, well, you have to start acting like that and giving him players. It's lunacy. It's hard to do business in this window. Man City signed 4, Bournemouth signed 4. Other teams are going about and signing. The excuses for this ownership and the way this football club has been run over years and years and years have got to stop. Have got to stop, Chris and Craig, because we are literally just looking more and more stupid as a football club and embarrassing with every passing week, in my opinion. This is not acting like the ownership is backing the manager at all, is it?
Brian, why do you think we haven't bought in, well, apart from Kinski, why do you think we haven't managed to get anybody else in?
Whether it's spending the big money to get in the big players, could be that. Could it be they don't trust, they're saying Ange is the man, but at the end of the season are going to evaluate the situation? And if so, are you going to say, right, we're going to give you the keys or the pen to the checkbook, so to speak, and say, right, have our money, but we don't know come summer if you're with us? Could that be another thing? There are so many ways to look at this right now. And Craig, it's every window we go through this, where this is the window where Spurs need to act. This is the window Spurs need to start mixing it with the big boys. And then at every window end, we're all left this disappointed. The fact that we're at the 20th of January, like I said, don't get me wrong, Kinski coming in, no one knew about it, great move. Competition for Cairo, completely with it. But the outfield need desperate help. And the main thing is, if you're going to back a manager and give it the words, back it with action. You have to. You can't just keep talking your way out of this or PR spinning it. I feel in that way, I feel sorry for Ange, because he's wanting to do better. Whether you think he can or he can't, that's a matter of opinion. But the fact that this club keeps saying, yep, he's the guy, he's the guy, he's the guy. But they don't show it. They don't act on it. And it's just a shame that this is what's happening to our beloved football club. No matter how we no matter how we feel about the ownership, no matter how bad we feel about the management, or any way this is going, every single one of us are Spurs fans. Every single one of us wants success, glory, and winning cups and a club to be proud of. It's how we get there and who's going to get us there that is the main issue. And I just do not think that, well, we all know my feelings on Daniel Levy. He is the main culprit. But I just don't understand why this club, if they're giving it all the mouth that Andrew's the guy, why they do not back it with action.
Brian, lastly, of course, we face Hoffenheim and Leicester on Thursday and Sunday. What's your score predictions?
Draws in both. Chris, I will say, when you look at it, and this is where Ange doesn't do himself favours, Porro is absolutely exhausted and knackered. You could have played Spence and Reguilon as wing-backs yesterday and given Porro a complete rest, because neither of them can play in Europe. Neither of them can play. Could have given it, but no, we're going to go with it. We're going to play these two, run them to the ground. Porro, who is absolutely exhausted, is now going to have to play. We are down to bare bones. Then they're going to have to play the full 90 minutes in Hoffenheim. Then we come back here and going to have to play Leicester. And I've got a very good friend who's a Leicester fan. He said, listen, we may not be able to get the results at the moment due to defensive slight lapses in error and our strikers not to egos, but you can see the difference in our shape towards as opposed to Cooper. We have a shape. It's just when we quit switching off, and if you switch off in the Premier League, you get punished. And if they cut, like I said last week, if Leicester come to fight, not to play football, we won't know what to do. We just, unless a team wants to play open, expansive football, we do not have the answers, and we're going to get caught out. And I can't. Instead of draw, I'll bite your hand off against Everton, and we got a defeat. And I'm going to say the same again. I'll bite your hand off right now for a draw in both. Oh no, we need to win. So Hoffenheim, we need to win. But what do I think? I think we get a draw in both.
Spurs 1 win in 10. Hoffenheim 1 win in 10. Leicester 2 wins. Out of 10. Yep. Spurs have got to win both games, Brian. In my opinion, it can't be draws.
So they've got, Chris. Listen, at the moment, everything we've got to win every game, and the fact that right now we are looking over our shoulders rather than up. It's got to the point that since we've moved to this stadium, rather than when you're checking your results on the scores to see how the big five are doing or those teams around us are doing to see if we can move up and get into that top 4 spot, we're now looking at Ipswich, Crystal Palace, Wolves, Leicester to make sure that they're losing so we can stay 8 points above the top.
Brian, how far are you away from work?
How far am I away from work? I've got to call an Uber and go from this bedroom all the way down the long hallway into the other bedroom. So I ordered it a minute ago. It will be here in a couple of minutes, so I think I'll be good.
Brian, get back to work. We'll talk to you soon.
We will do. Chris, Craig, always a pleasure to everyone in the chat. And like I said, Chris, once again, I will just say in parting, what a warrior you are for sitting. Every time I watch your podcast after the game, you in a car park, you're there when the floodlights go out. It's crazy. You're an absolute warrior for doing that in your car. And like I said, Chris, you've had me on loads of times, and people have got to start realizing that just because I may say how I feel about the board and owners, manager, whatever, in a different way to you, does not mean that we don't feel the same way. And people have got to realize that. Craig, Chris, enjoy the rest of your show. I'll be watching. Everyone in the chat, have a great day.
Cheers, Brian.
Thank you. Cheers, mate.
Tom, man.
So many great guests. We're going to go to Edward now. Edward, good evening. How are you?
There we are. I'm unmuted. Just get the light on. Yeah, very good. Thank you very much.
Edward, how are you feeling right now as a Spurs fan? You've probably heard a lot of these opinions, so many different opinions at the moment. But of course, 15th in the Premier League table. Worried?
No. Not I've been a Spurs fan since 1980. And I think that we need to get this in perspective of where we are as a club at this present moment in time. We went through the Alan Sugar era, and the club was valued probably around about the 20 odd million mark, and we're now a club valued at 2 billion. Okay, when ENIC took over, I don't think 21 years ago in their business plan they could foresee in that business plan that an oligarch like Roman Abramovich was going to come along and buy the Premier League. Then you have a nation state, which is Manchester City, basically coming along and then buying it again. And where we've come as a football club at this moment in time is at a pivotal point. Now, there's a quote that I just had, which came up from a manager, literally sort of, where are we? Just sent to you, Chris, which was, let's have a look. Where are we? I'm going to send it to you. Let's bring it up. So, which manager has said this basically? The players are going to suffer. I'm sorry. The fans are going to suffer. I have one way of doing things. I know it's going to bring results. I put that to group chats and forums that I was in, and lots of people came back and said, "Oh, that's Pep Guardiola." I said, "No, you're wrong." I said, "Well, that sounds Postecoglou." I said, "No, you're wrong. It's Ruben Amorim." And where we are evolving at this moment in time is with managers, with these elite managers. You could go with your one-hit wonders, your manager bounce, and Everton have had the manager bounce, and we've suffered as a result of that. We felt that, and Ange got it wrong with the system, and he admitted that. But we suffered because David Moyes and the manager bounced. Now you can bring in a Sean Dyche, he's available. You could go get a Sam Allardyce, he's available, or any other of the one-hit wonders that are out there. But all you're going to get is a couple of manager bounces, and you're back to where we are. This manager has a long-term vision, and we need to stick by him and go through this pain that we are going through. Because if you look at his track record of where he's been, this is normal for him. This is just a normal period of pain and suffering and everything else that he goes through. But at the end of it comes success. And he has said, "I will deliver a trophy." He said, in my second season, I always deliver a trophy. Now, he's either incredibly arrogant, but you need to be arrogant a bit in this profession of football to succeed, or he's ultra confident that he will deliver us a trophy. And I say stick by him, and he will take us to the promised land. It will be tough. Don't get me wrong. There will be, like Amorim said, it's going to get worse before it gets better. But they're at the start of this process. We're a third of the way through this process of what his contract is in terms of where he's at the club. And he needs help, yes. But, you've got, Johan behind the scenes. We don't know what's going on behind the scenes. Tony came along, Kitski, out of the blue. And I don't know what happens behind the scenes of the club, but I would hope and expect that something's going to come out of the blue. And to pull the trigger now is just crazy. When we won the last trophy in 2008, we finished 11th. Prior to that, under George Graham, we finished 11th. And there were some horrific scores that happened in the league during that year. 3-1, we lost to Everton in August. We lost to Birmingham City 4-1, when we won it in that year. But no one remembers where we finished in that season.
Where do you think, though? Yeah, you mentioned good points there, but how long do you give? You obviously want Ange to stay. That's fine, but saying results don't improve between now and the end of the season. Saying we are in a relegation battle. Saying we get out of it, but only just, but we don't win a cup. What then?
Okay, so we're not in a relegation battle. We've got a goal difference of +10 at this present moment in time. We've scored more goals than Arsenal at this present moment in time. The problem is in the back, and it's clear and obvious. You've got playing a high line, and you've got Mickey van der Ven basically running back, and it's just a sprint between him and the striker, which is why Isak beats him all the time, because it's he hasn't got the head start on it. But so he needs reinforcements there. It's clear and obvious when you're playing at high line, you need a Mickey van der Ven type player to be able to perform that. We're not getting relegated, but I would say, look, even if we go out against Liverpool, it's not the end of the world. We're still in the Europa League, and at the beginning of the season, we were favourites. And with a full-strength squad, we've seen what this guy can deliver. When I watched this against Manchester United, and we dominated them at Old Trafford, I was there when AVB was there. We won. Well, you could add in there the Pedro Mendes goal, but we didn't get the result on that. But we beat them. But that was the best performance I've ever seen at Old Trafford. That was fantastic. Manchester City, fantastic. Aston Villa, okay. It came together at the end. We robbed it. West Ham. When we turn up with this team, we perform. But we are stretched, and the rest of the players are just not there. So I say, give him as long as he needs. But clearly, if he doesn't deliver us a trophy, if we get knocked out, then he hasn't achieved. He hasn't done what he set out to do. Win the Europa League, we get Champions League next year. We could finish 17th. He delivers that, we're all right. On our day, with a full strength squad, we can deliver.
Yeah, I get your point, Edward. On our day, we can beat anyone. But look at yesterday, wide open, 3-0 at half time against Everton. And as some of the previous callers have mentioned already, Everton don't score many goals. 3-0 up against Spurs.
But he got it wrong. He got it wrong. And as Amaron said, things will get worse before they get better. You're gonna get league results. But you look at what happened against Liverpool at home. We turned up. You look at it in the FA Cup. We turned up. Now, okay, against Manchester United.
But this was a must-win game. I don't know. I really want it to work under Ange. But
we're not going to win the league. We're
obviously
probably not going to. We're probably But at best we might finish in the Conference League. So you talk about must-wins. At the moment, the must-win games is against Liverpool, and as long as the team turns up for that, you're fine. We don't need to win. We just need to get a draw. You can finish 1-1, and we're all right. But you've then got Europa League, Hoffenheim. We'll be all right. We'll get through that. And then we've got the players that are coming back. Give the guy time, and I go pretty much nearly every home game. Getting an away ticket is incredibly difficult. I went to the Sheffield United game last year, but incredibly difficult. But some of the abuse that I hear from some of the fans towards the players, even at the Sheffield United, and to yourself, Chris, I think that's just utterly disgraceful. To be turning on our players, it's the problem sometimes isn't the players at the moment. It's the fans. We need to stick, and we need to stick together. And last year I was listening to fans going on about Kulusevski. Oh, Kulusevski, he should drop him. He should play him. He's rubbish and all this kind of stuff. From the terraces. And now Cooley's our best player. And you hear that so often. If a player doesn't perform within the first couple of games, he's rubbish. Get him out the team. And players criticising Sarr and all that kind of stuff. These are young lads. These are very young lads who obviously have talent, and we are too quick to judge. We, as a club, as a fan base, we are just too quick to judge these young lads. And we've got some fantastic players, and their confidence. If we carry on the way we are, we're gonna knock it, and we're just gonna go back again as a club. And it's that to me, and that hurts me more. But for a football club that I love, to watch the fans behave in the way they are at this present moment in time, it's not on. And Son does not deserve that, and all that kind of stuff. So, we need to be careful.
Edward, last question for you: are Spurs going to win a trophy this season? Then is Ange Postecoglou going to win a trophy in his second season?
I should hope so. I better bet on it. So,
come on, what bet have you had?
I've done the double, so League Cup and Europa League, and I've also done FA Cup and Europa League as well. So if it comes in, I'll buy you a drink.
Are we talking like a pound or two, or are we talking a lot of money?
I wouldn't want to say because my wife's standing there.
It's a lot of money. It's a lot of money.
I'll tell the wife now she's not getting a birthday present.
Edward, do me a favour in a minute. Email me. I promise I won't say it out on the channel.
All right.
Don't trust him.
Edward, thank you so much. We'll talk to you soon.
Cheers, Edward.
Cheers, Chris. Cheers, Craig.
Cheers.
Ta-da. Bye.
I reckon it's at least 200 quid.
I was thinking a oneer, but yeah, it could be two. Yeah.
Yeah. If he's going to buy me a drink, he might buy you a drink as well.
Edward's wife.
Yeah.
He's done
a couple of
he's done
hundred
a ton, at least a ton.
We're now going to go all the way to Italy to speak to Italian journalist Simone Delumo. Simone, how are you?
I'm fine, Chris. I'm fine. Hi, Craig.
Ciao, Simone.
Again in the show. Ciao, Craig.
Simone, how are you feeling as a Spurs fan right now?
Well, arguably the worst moment since the Wander Ramos second season times. Of course, I'm not thinking that Spurs are currently still in the relegation battle, but if Spurs lose to Leicester, at the end of the day, 2 wins should be enough to go away, to run away from that kind of waters, to that kind of situation. But of course, the situation is getting serious week after week. I think that now it's time to look at the bigger picture, because at the start of the Amazon documentary, when Daniel Levy decided to sack Poch to bring on Jose, to appoint Jose, it clearly stated that only time will tell if it's the right decision. Well, it was the start of the fall down. There was a man, arguably the best manager of the last 30, 40 years of Tottenham Hotspur history, that Mauricio Pochettino, that even before that Champions League final, 10 days before the Champions League final, he clearly stated that the fall down would have come. So this football club needed to rebuild itself. And Daniel Levy actually failed. And the Harry Kane departure was iconic in that kind of fall down. Now, Big Ange, you clearly know my feelings, my ideas about Big Ange from a very long time. Of course, the injury crisis nowadays is what it is, so it's impossible. It's an impossible job for every manager. And of course, you know that every manager should be given time, every manager. But I think that Spurs the fan base wanted in the last couple of months to give time to the wrong one. This is the problem. This football club, this team failed at the start of the season without injuries. He had the full squad when he dropped points in Leicester. He had the full squad when he played that shambolic second half in Brighton. He had the full squad when he started to drop points at the start of the season. So my feeling, in the second year of the Postecoglou's project, the second year in a project means that you should reap the benefits of what you built in the first season. I think that he would have finished 8th, 9th, 10th, and it would have been a disastrous season. Now, with all the injury crisis, the situation, of course, got worse. But at the end of the day, it would have been a disastrous situation. So for me, Ange was not just already at the start of the season the man for the job. Not just because he doesn't have plan B, plan C, because he doesn't change his tactics, his principles of play, because his football is absolutely, for me, reckless. But because it showed already at the start that wasn't the man. That was my idea. And sooner or later, guys, you should start to look at life after Edge. And there are names. I don't know if it's Marco Silva, it's Thomas Frank, it's Iraola. Then it will be the same cycles. Then you need to back the manager, of course. But I strongly think that this injury crisis is helping Big Ange to save his job, because without any kind of injury crisis, Daniel Levy would have pulled the trigger much before, very before. Many managers lost their Tottenham job for less. Remember AVB in December? AVB was actually 5th. Look at Jose. Thinking about Antonio, of course, Antonio wanted to go out of the club, but he was 4th when he got sacked after that incredible press conference in Southampton. And at the end of my speech, I need to state that I would love to see a braver press with more courage, because it's not possible that we haven't been hearing any set pieces question apart from mine after the game against Roma for months and months and months. This manager.
Sorry, can I just stop you there? For those who don't know, you actually did go into the press conference and ask Ange Postecoglou about set pieces. Just remind everyone his response. He wasn't happy, was he?
He wasn't happy. He clearly stated that next question. I don't know how to answer, so next question. It's not possible because last season he lost his first derby, on April on set pieces. Højbjerg own goal and Havertz header. This season, the same. Even last week, he lost the 3rd derby in a row on set pieces and counter-attacks. So, it's a clear evidence that you're not improving on your mistakes. You are gonna do the same mistakes week in and week out. I'll be keeping the same things, the same stuff nowadays for many months. So for me, Big Edge wasn't at that time, and of course it's not now, the man for the job. For me, the dimension of Postecoglou is a middle table team, stronger, much stronger enough to avoid the relegation battle, but not with European targets. Now the situation, the crisis, the injury crisis is what it is. I'm not expecting any kind of way to survive in Anfield on the second leg of the Carabao Cup. 3 days after that, there will be the Villa game in the FA Cup. Look what's gonna happen in the next couple of weeks in Europa League. So that is everything, absolutely everything, to leave guys the worst season of the last 25 years. We really need to look back to 2008 when Juan de Ramos started his second season, because he was at the bottom of the table. He was sacked in November. Then Harry Redknapp took charge of his job. So, look, I'm pessimistic because if you cover Tottenham, if you follow Tottenham, if you love Tottenham, you of course need to be pessimistic. But guys, it's the situation is incredible. It's incredible, and on the same time, Antonio Conte is doing incredible well in Naples. So
you didn't need to mention that.
Yeah. Yeah,
the amount of times I've seen that online, Simone, that where people say, "Look what Nuno Espirito Santo's doing. Look what Antonio Conte's doing." But he is doing well there, isn't he? All joking aside,
He's doing well. He's doing well. Of course, I'm not the most critical one of Daniel Levy when he decided to get rid of Antonio, because Antonio clearly wanted to go at the end of the season. So I don't have any kind of I don't know the right word in English, but Antonio wanted to go. So Antonio wasn't the future of Tottenham. I'm looking back at Mauricio. That Mauricio decision was the worst one for this football club. And then if you point Jose, you need to give Jose time. It's not possible to sack him 5 days before a final. Mauricio was a love story. So it was the mistake. And I'm a romantic man, you know me, and I want to believe that maybe one day, just like he said, one day he wants to finish his business at Spurs.
Simone, last question for you. How do you see the next two results going, Hoffenheim and Leicester? What the score's going to be? And does Ange survive if the results don't go our way?
7 defeats out of the last 10 games. So every Monday morning, I woke up, I took the phone, I checked my social pages, and I always read that Postecoglou maintain the trust of the board. So I'm expecting Spurs to lose to Hoffenheim. I'm expecting maybe a disaster, Spurs losing again. But I'm pretty sure next Monday I will wake up and I will see Big Angel still on the job. But I need to clarify just one thing, guys. This is my truths, feelings, pure basically on football side. I think that he's a great man. And because the story of someone coming from Australia is incredible, is inspirational. So I really rate the man so much. I'm not liking him at all as a manager, but of course the history and his human being are fantastic. So I wanted to stress this kind of because I've been very very heavy towards him in the last couple of months, but I wanted to stress that. It is my job. It is my truths. These are my truths, and that they are just based on football basics.
Simone, I've got to ask you this before you go, and this is something that I've never mentioned on this channel, by the way, that when I saw you at the Spurs-Roma game at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium a few weeks back, one person I did bump into at the stadium was Max Allegri, and I know you're a huge fan of his. It has been reported in the last couple of days in England that he went to speak to Daniel Levy about the possible managerial job at Spurs. Do you think there's any truth in that?
I don't think so. I don't think so because he didn't have good relationship with Fabio Paratici. Paratici was the one that convinced the chairman of Juventus, Agnelli, to sack Allegri to appoint Sarri. So I don't think so. I don't think it's the... And I clearly don't see a manager of Allegri's profile to train, to take training sessions with that youngsters, with the likes of Bergwall, Gray. You need another kind of manager to help this kind of youngsters to develop the project. So I saw him persuaded by money and to join an Arabian club. I saw that kind of situation in Max Allegri's future.
Simone, always such a great guest. Thank you so much, and we look forward to having you on the Spurs Chat podcast very soon.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Craig. Absolutely, always delighted to be part of the family and the squad. Thank you.
Thank you, Simone. Speak to you soon. We're now going to go to Simon. Simon, evening. How you doing?
Hey guys, can you hear me?
Perfectly well. Yeah, great to have you here. How are you feeling, Simon, as a Spurs fan right now?
Sorry, I'm just setting up. I was just watching. Let me get this. There we go. So obviously, results are horrible in the league, and sitting there watching every minute of a Spurs game is hard at the moment. But I'm getting more and more frustrated with a separation of the fan base. And it's either Ange in or Ange out, or who's to blame, or what's going on. And there's no real forethought. It's all very surface level, how we approach what's going on at the football club and the results and the nuances which make up a good result or a bad result. Like, fans seem to quickly forget the good and what we're capable of, and also that this is a project. And as soon as you mention project, and then the immediate reaction is, yeah, it's second year, this is how we go about the reaction to bad results. So all these results, it's like, well, that's it, that's enough. There's no real like deep dive into why this is happening. Is Ange the right man? Is what he's doing bringing these players in, these players out, what he's working with? The situation at the club with the injuries is near impossible to navigate. You've got all these competitions. You've got immense pressure with the league table, but the bigger picture is getting players back, working, and for me, the only way you can talk about Ange in or Ange out is if he's got a full squad, he's got very minimal unavailabilities, and the football and direction, because that provides a clear understanding of where we're going. And right now, the nuances in implementing your style and your tactics into 18-year-olds, into people that haven't played in the Premier League like Dragusin and others, it's an immense challenge for any manager. Now, when you change a team, like with one or two players, that creates an effect of how you can play and how you don't. And I can see real change in how we are moving as a club. Like, the results are so frustrating. I get it from a fan and all that, like, purely, but from a direction and what this man's bringing to a club is what we need. Like, we need someone like this. The situation has to be taken into account. The nature of a project is it's going to be rocky. It is. That's just the nature of the project. And then you take the seriousness of our situation with injuries and unavailabilities. Like, we are going to struggle. We are going to struggle. It's just that. And it would be great to see a collective of a fan base just understanding what that means and really thinking and talking about the nuances of the challenges that a manager is going through. Like, the players go, oh, this isn't good enough. He's not playing this way. He's not doing this way. And they forget about the nuances and they're human. These are just human beings. And I'm not taking it like, if you have a bad game, like I coach football, if you have a bad game and you should absolutely be held accountable and all this stuff. But these are very, like, highly skilled people playing in the best league in the world, but they're human. And they're exactly like you and I with all the other things that go on. And football is such a mental game. It's so, like, you have one bad touch or you take a knock and then there's a confidence and then you've got to go through this and then you're implementing tactics and all this kind of stuff. And everyone thinks, oh, these guys are professionals. They just need to deal with it. And that's it. Well, it's not the case. Like, you've got all these players out, a back line that's all over the place. You know, we're bringing in young Czech guy to replace our starting keeper, and he's doing a great job. And people's like, oh, well, but that messes with every aspect of a football team. And then trying to navigate that as a manager on the training pitch and then preparing for different teams with different assets and all this kind of thing, you have to have a clear vision. And you're not going to get it right. And you're not going to work out. And you have to be able, like, for me, the situation is just horrible with the injury.
Simon, how long do you give the project then before you turn around and say, this isn't working, we've got to change things? How long do we give it?
So for me, the thing that needs to be, like, Ange needs to be held account with, if he's got his squad and his team, then you can measure him against what we expect or what the plan is or what the project is, where you're hitting your marks, all that kind of stuff. it's like it's impossible to do that right now with the ins and outs of the teams and how people flow and all this kind of stuff, and each game and all that kind of stuff. So for me, I could only judge if those factors are in place for Ange. It's, what would you say? Time limit. It's like me personally, I don't mind if we don't achieve anything in the league this year or whatever, because of this, like, it's a hopeless situation. Like right now, I can see us with everyone getting back, and I hope with all my heart that when we get our players back, they stay back and there's hardly any setbacks in regards to injuries for the rest of the season. And if he gets all those players back and the results improve, you can see where it's going. If he gets all those players back and we're in the same situation with how the squad is performing and playing, then there's an accountability to be heard. But like, if you've got a guy who's just head above water and we're going to give you 5 minutes to get out of the water with, one floaty, like, here's a boat. Here's the boat that you had. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, he's got the tools to get him out of that situation. Now, let's see how you do.
Simon, does it bother you in some ways that some Spurs fans had an issue with an Australian coming in at Tottenham managing the Premier League? Does that bother you? Because when Ange was appointed, there were a lot of doubters from the very off. But I'm with a lot of the callers this evening in terms of, you look at Ange's career, he's proved everyone wrong. He's won trophies everywhere he's gone. We could say that about Jose Mourinho and Antonio Conte. They've won trophies everywhere they've gone. I feel at the moment, you saying about the criticism, I feel like yesterday the players should have done better. I feel like if you said to people 18 months ago, in 18 months' time, we're going to be 15th in the Premier League, I don't think that would have been anywhere near good enough. I get all of the injuries, absolutely, and I really want it to work for Ange. And also, there's a lot of frustration at the moment because a lot of people pay a lot of money for tickets at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, etc. And I think there is a certain expectation with the fan base where Spurs should be and what we should be doing in transfer window. So I feel like there's an expectation with the players, the manager and the board. And that's why I feel like so many people are unhappy right now. But going back to that original question I asked about Ange being Australian, do you feel that there is a bit of snobbery from the English fans?
I don't, like, if he was Australian, Austrian, Russian, Czech, African, whatever, it's like, I know I'm Australian and I've followed Ange for a long time. It's funny, 5 years ago, my dad said Ange will be in the Premier League soon. And I was like, what? And then here he is coaching my team. It's who he is and what he brings and he's like the style of play. So, when he talked about after the last season where Arsenal fans were like, and he said there's a real issue here and stuff like that. I think that was one of numerous issues that he's trying to fix. And this isn't you can't band-aid this. You can't do this. You have to go into the suck to get results in a project, to change the mentality, to change the thing. And it's like the situation is in, and we're so lucky to have him because he relishes this stuff. He absolutely relishes this challenge. And he's doing it with integrity and all these things. Yes, he got the first half yesterday wrong, but there's so many factors in why he made those decisions. It's not like, I'll give this a try. It's not how managing works. It's not a must-win game for me. I know you mentioned that to a previous guy. That wasn't a must-win game because the Hoffenheim, we have to, because chances are we might not get European places this Premier League season. So we've got a Hoffenheim game, and we need to do well in the Europa League to keep going through. And who knows, maybe we'll win it if we get everyone back. So those kind of things are priorities. So maybe that comes into the thinking of managing. And we're all standing here like we're managers and we know better and we see things and we talk about it. And yes, things are going to go wrong, but it would just be great if we can appreciate what is happening and talking about like the real in-depth things about why these things are happening, and not to be like so reactive and talking about blame and stuff like that. Like who's to blame? What's to blame? Like the situation is the situation, and we've got to understand it as a fan base and understand that there are like we're just like I said, in the suck. Sorry, but to answer your question about the Australian thing and all that, it's
I asked that, Simon, because there's a lot of comments saying, "Oh, because Simon's Australian, he's sticking up for Ange Postecoglou." And as soon as we have, soon as we have Australian guests,
I wish I could do an accent because I felt like that was going to happen. I wish I could come in here and speak like Swedish and then people wouldn't understand it. They're like, yeah, that's going to happen. Like I've been a Spurs fan for 25 years before our Australian manager came about, and there's a reason we appointed an individual like this who happens to be Australian. You know, you can say what you want about Levy and all the frustrating things that we have to deal with and all that kind of stuff, but I honestly think Daniel Levy has some great qualities as a businessman, obviously, and building a platform to be a big club. And I think I do think he wants what's best for the thing. And amongst all the other infuriating things to do with money spends and all that kind of stuff. But they've recognized an individual in Ange and realized this is what we want. This is what the fans need. Fans want as far as play style and the identity of the club. And they've gone with it. And I think we just have to embrace it as Spurs fans, what the situation we're in now and the nuances of what's going on, and being in all 4 competitions and having a depleted squad. And people talk about like the start of the season, there were signs that, you know, he wasn't good enough. And like that Leicester game where we drew, like we buried them to do with stats and touches in the boxes and possession. It was just...
Simon, I feel like you've got so much to say, and I tell you what, I feel like I've got hundreds of questions for you. So send me an email, because I want to get you booked into the Spurs Chat podcast where you will have so much more time to talk about Ange Postecoglou and Spurs. So let's make that happen. You've been a great guest, so thank you so much for joining us this evening.
No problem. Do I just email you the same email?
Yeah.
Okay, mate. You're doing a fantastic job. Come on, you Spurs, and there is light at the end of the tunnel. Let's just stick together.
Thanks, Simon. We'll speak to you at length next time. Thank you.
All right, mate. Thank you.
Cheers, Simon.
Right, we're now going to go to Melvin. Melvin's been messaging me saying, get me on. Melvin, how are you?
Yeah, I'm angry. I'm really angry. I'm not going to lie. But I'm probably angry at reasons you guys know, because I speak to you guys every day. I'm angry at the ownership. I'm angry at the fans. I'm angry at the players. I'm just angry. To be honest, I'm gonna say this. I'm still behind Ange Postecoglou. I'm gonna tell you why. I watched Spurs get to a Champions League final, and then the ownership do everything to disassemble everything good that we built, and we're in 15th. How did we get? It's like a blink of an eye, Chris. We were in a Champions League final, and then we moved into this great stadium, and then I blinked my eyes and now we're 15th. It's like, how did this happen to us? It shouldn't have been this way. Why did we get here? And it seems that I thought Simon was great, by the way. I really want to big him up. I thought a lot of people that came on today, I've been listening since the start. I thought lots of people said really good things today. And I'm going to go back and listen to this pod later on. But Postecoglou needs backing, yes, but he needs backing with time. He needs backing with finances and players, yes, but he needs backing with time. These things take time. I say this all the time. The best thing to come out of Antonio Conte was he called out the ownership and he said, there's no pressure in this club. I watch the Southampton rant quite often. Every now and then I find it and I see what Antonio Conte called out our football club. And he said, there's no pressure here to win. But Postecoglou wants to win. Because Postecoglou, in one of the biggest games of our season last season, when we played Manchester City, and we could have given the league to Arsenal, Postecoglou was amazed that there were fans that wanted this club not to win. Yes, I was one of them because I don't want Arsenal to win, and I hate that club. But the mentality of Postecoglou was spot on that day. Spot on. And I thought, okay, we have a guy here. This guy is serious about winning. And from that moment on, I was in a way, I thought this football club is in good hands. I'll leave it in Postecoglou. Yes, there's injuries. I'm tired of talking about injuries. It's getting boring now. Can we move on about this? Yes, the squad is depleted. Yes, the squad is tired. Can we really address the problems of this football club and how we don't act like a big football club? We're not serious. The ownership doesn't help us. The ownership doesn't help us. I've been angry about the ownership for a very long time, but I just stay quiet because...
Melvin, in fairness, you've been telling us for most of the season that we are on the right track and we're going in the right direction.
We are. I feel we are. The recruitment is improved over the years. Not by a lot, but it's improved. It used to be absolutely terrible, Chris. Terrible. We did not help Jose Mourinho. So we went from Mauricio Pochettino, who we sacked, and Chris, that was the only time we acted as a big club, when we sacked Pochettino. And I thought, wow, this guy took us to a Champions League final and we sacked him. We're finally becoming Chelsea. We're finally acting like a big club. We were pretending to be a big club. And I thought, and we made a video, Chris, and I sent it to you, one of the few videos in the early days, reacting to Jose Mourinho being appointed as manager. And I thought, and I said, I would have personally never have sacked a manager that's taken us that far, that's taken my football club to probably the highest, honor I've ever seen my club. I've only seen my club win a League Cup. But Pochettino got us to the Champions League final. Pochettino, I've seen him take this club, and we had an incredible run at the finale of the lane, and we had an incredible team. We had fight. We had a spine. This team had a spine, something that we've lacked for years. The last 6 years, we've not had a spine. Where's the spine gone? We failed to replace player after player after player. Harry Kane has saved us for years. Kane. Heung-min Son, who we abused at Gosden Park the other day.
Didn't.
We abused. Well, not me. I'm not me, but us as a fan base, because it's gotten so bad. It's disgusting we did that to Heung-min Son. The guy did not leave us in the time of need. He signed a contract extension. I mean, I called out Heung-min Son this season because he's been poor, but I would not abuse the guy. The guy deserves our respect. The guy deserves us to be loyal to him. Yes, he apologized, but I wouldn't have done that to Heung-min Son. I'm angry, Chris. I'm very angry. I'm angry at a lot of things. I'm angry at the fact that our fan base at the moment, yes, we pay the highest ticket to watch Tottenham, but we don't want to be part of a painful rebuild. We are in a painful rebuild. This is part of a painful rebuild. We're in the middle of it. We're in the middle of the ugly part of the rebuild. We need to relax. The guy said we need to relax. Trust Postecoglou. Listen, Postecoglou deserves criticism. He's made mistakes.
I don't know whether you can relax when you're 15th.
Yeah,
I don't know whether you can relax.
That's also true. That's also true. Postecoglou deserves criticism because he's made mistakes. He's made mistakes, and he's stubborn and hard-headed with many aspects of the football game. But we need a manager to be hard-headed. We need him to crash these barriers that we've put on ourselves. And I trust the guy. We need someone like that. We need someone with a bit of a calm voice at times. But as we've seen with the Amazon documentary, what managers say to the players and to the fans and to the media at times is not what goes behind the scenes. I don't believe Postecoglou's not angry and shouting at the players and trying to get more out of them, but at times motivational and trying to get also more out of players that way. I mean, I saw videos of Postecoglou giving the Australian national team a talk right before lunch and this amazing speech. And where do we go from here this season? Because it's a results-based business, and I'm gonna be seeing you at the stadium pretty soon, Chris. So I don't want to come to a game and not be excited for the game and thinking, oh, it's okay if we lose today. No, because the fans want to win. But are we in a position to win? Are we in a position? You have to walk before you can run. We're playing these kids who I get behind. I love watching, Archie Gray and Bergvall play because I think these kids are going to be magic for us. I loved the assist that Mikey Moore put in. Yeah, we're wounded right now. We're wounded, and we're if we were a sick patient right now, and the doctor is telling you you're ill, you don't sack your doctor and go to another doctor just so he can tell you, oh, you're still sick. You have to find the root of the problem.
Let me come in here, Craig. I want to bring you in. I got a friend of mine, Mark, earlier today. He said to me, if someone bought a dodgy pot of paint and someone painted the wall and it peeled off, right? Who is to blame? The person who bought the paint, the person who told the painter to paint the wall, or the person who actually painted the wall? And I feel like this is very similar to the Spurs transfers.
Yeah, I would say it's the painter, actually, because he should check the wall's okay to receive the paint. So there is an answer to that, because I've done it, funny enough, in this room. It just fell off the wall. That was my fault for not giving
paint?
No, I didn't give it a mist
coat. Who bought your dodgy
paint?
paint?
I did, right? But went to B&Q, got the colour. Wife didn't like it, but that's another story. Didn't do a mist coat because it was on fresh plaster, and the paint bubbled up. So it was my fault. So it's the painter's fault. So who is the painter, I guess, is what you're asking. I guess the painter is Postecoglou, isn't he? So the person that bought the paint is Daniel Levy. And the person who told Postecoglou to paint, who would that be? Lang? I don't know. I'm a bit lost. But ultimately, the manager carries the can. But I think, and we've had many discussions about this, I think the problem at this club is deep rooted. It's been this way for many years. I think it goes deeper than Ange. I think it goes deeper than the players. Rot sets in from the top down. I don't know what's going in. I don't know what's going on at Tottenham. It all seems to be very quiet.
Some of these replies about the painter.
I've been deliberately.
What have I started?
I'll have to go back and have a look. I'm actually lost where I am. It comes from the top down, is what I'm trying to say. It comes from the top down. 21 years of, you have to say, failure, bar one Carabao Cup, one League Cup. Should have had a lot more. Not backing managers when they should have been backed. And where I'm with Melvin is, as much as obviously I want this club to succeed, I just don't know where we go for the rest of the season. I don't think we're going to get relegated, no matter who's the manager, right? But the thing is there any other manager, if they were going to sack him tomorrow, manager comes in, would another manager give us better chance of winning the Carabao Cup or winning the FA Cup or winning the Europa League? Because the league's gone, let's face it.
Do you know what? Where we've spoken so often on this podcast, particularly when Jose Mourinho and Antonio Conte were here, and everyone says about them being defensive coaches. If Ange Postecoglou is too attacking, is that what you're saying then, Craig? Bring someone in who's kind of in between that. Would that manager then give us a better chance to go to Anfield, get a draw or a win, and go through to the Carabao Cup final? Is that what you're saying?
Well, no, actually, what I'm saying is I'm not sure any manager coming in would give us any better chance of beating Liverpool, for example. Because I don't know why, I just can't see it. I know Gary thinks differently. Melvin probably thinks differently. So do you. I just can't see us at the moment going to Liverpool and pulling something off, because that's the hardest place to go for us at the moment. And we're going to be going there. We might have a couple of players back, but I don't see bringing in another man. I mean, look, ideally, we was all under Nuno. The football was dreadful. Under Conte and Mourinho, slightly different style, but most people didn't like that style of football, even though Conte got us fourth. So people wanted Spurs back. People wanted the attacking football back, and now we've got the attacking football back. People want a bit more pragmatism. And look, I include myself.
And people also said, I'd take a mid-table finish if we won a trophy. And now Spurs are sitting 15th, although I am worried about our league position being 15th. If you told me right now that we will finish 15th in the table, but we will win a trophy, I tell you what, I'd sit back and just let Melvin talk all night, and I wouldn't care. But at the moment, I'm thinking we're 15th. We're looking over our shoulder at Wolves and Ipswich, etc. I know some of you are talking about relegation. I don't think that's going to happen. But for a club like Spurs to be 15th in the Premier League table, I think is unacceptable. But if you're saying we're going to win a trophy this season, I think that would be a real positive. But if we don't win a trophy this season, we finish 15th, I think it would be a terrible, terrible season.
Exactly. Go on, Mel.
Yeah, I just want to say another thing, a reason I don't want the manager to be sacked, just like I didn't want Conte and Jose to be sacked. It gives the players that need to be moved on another chance, another opportunity to play for the club. There are players who are trying to move us up in the league and challenge for things, players who have the right mentality, players that turn up for the big games, players that try. But there are passengers in this team that are there right now, just collecting a wage, just playing and not and hiding at times. I don't want these players. In my opinion, I'll give you two. I will give you Bissouma, who I'm not a fan of, makes too many mistakes. We need a spine. Chris, we used to watch Moussa Dembele, Victor Wanyama. Yeah. They were solid players. Moussa Sissoko, yes, he had a rough start, but he offered us a spine. And in moments,
come on, you can't put Moussa Sissoko in the same bracket as Moussa Dembele.
Yeah, but listen, Moussa Sissoko had a very tough start, but he had a good season for us. He was consistent. In the beginning, he wasn't as good. Anyway, for me, it gives players, even Madison for me. What does he do? He's good on social media. He's good when the cameras are on. But Chris, really annoys me, Madison, because he talks a good game and he's like a YouTube personality, and he wants to be Gascoigne, but he's not. He wants to be Paul Gascoigne. He thinks he's Paul Gascoigne. Before he signed for us, he said, I was made to play for Spurs before he even done anything at the club. No, you weren't. Listen, turn up for the big games. Turn up for the big games and perform. Listen, I'm sick of some of these players. These players, Postecoglou needs to be given the license and the power like Alex Ferguson had. And he'll go to one of your players and say to him, you're done for this football club. we move on and recruit players that are going to fight for the badge and fight for the badge in moments like now, when the chips are down, when you see, I love Kulusevski. I think Kulusevski is one of the players that's really fighting and wants to win, hates to lose. Chris, we need players that hate to lose. Hate to lose. I'm married or gonna be married. My girlfriend comes from a footballing family. And I speak to her brother who plays in international, and her uncle played for Malta, played against Kane, played against Madison. These players hate to lose. There's a difference between wanting to win and hating to lose. And there's not enough players in our club that absolutely despise losing, and too many players that are comfortable with losing.
I agree, Melvin. And I've said this actually on the past couple of podcasts. I feel like sometimes we lose games and there just isn't that passion there, and that really upsets me and infuriates me actually as a fan that goes to all of these matches, because you want to see the passion, you want to see everything.
Thanks for doing this, Chris. I really needed this. This honestly my free therapy session. And it's been for absolute years. I love coming on here and voicing my opinion and talking to you and Craig and I'll see you guys soon in London for the Leicester game. Maybe I'll be the good luck charm that Spurs need, and we'll get the 3 points.
Absolutely. Thank you, Melvin. Speak to you soon.
All the best, guys.
See you, mate.
That was a very emotional Melvin.
It was, and you mentioning paint, that set me off. So, emotional evening.
And then you said, "Is Ange carrying the can?" Was that? Did you mean to say that?
Oh, yeah. So you picked up on that, little pun there. So
you absolutely meant that. Well, someone who can give us a pun or two is Mr. Darren Altman. Darren.
There he is.
How are you?
What did you? Oh, what fudge?
We were talking about paint. Did you catch that discussion?
Fudge coloured paint. Yeah, I mean, yeah, really. I don't. I like to think that I'm the crown on tonight's.
Oh, very good.
There you go. Yeah, I'm not Dulux, but I'm there. I'm getting there. How are you guys? You all right?
Not bad. Not bad. How do you feel about Tottenham at the moment, Darren? Come and get it off your chest.
It's not good. It's so frustrating. And do you know what? It's like we're between a rock and a hard place. We're just going round and round and round in circles. Okay, so here's my feelings. I haven't seen the show because I've been doing dad duties, but I am going to go back and watch to see what the general consensus is. So I don't know whether it's 50-50 or whether it's Ange in or Ange out. I'll go back. I'm very much Ange in, and I'm sorry if I'm just repeating what has already been said. I'll tell you for why. Been watching too much Gavin and Stacey. Because
now there's a comment here saying, have we got Dow Winton on?
Supermarket Sweep, yes. Bravity Radio 2. Here's Tanita Tickerum. So
we should have got you on earlier. We need a laugh tonight. We really do.
Okay, so because it's rinse and repeat, we're going round and round in circles. I mean,
no, I said we need a laugh.
Oh, there you go. Sort of. Because we're going round and round in circles. It's insane. The common denominator for all our woes is Daniel Levy and this board. Until they've gone, we are going to go round and round in circles. And as Craig said, we could get anyone in, and we're not going to beat Liverpool. I'm sorry, we're just not. Even with this, and hate me. But I'm just thinking realistically. They're on fire. Nunes has just scored 2. Salah's on fire. Gakpo's on fire. Who have we got? Name one player in our team that's on fire. We've got no one.
Isn't this the joy of the cup though, Darren?
Yeah, the magic and the wonder of the FA Cup. Okay, Chris. All right.
This is the League Cup.
So yeah, the League Cup. Say we get an early goal. Early goal. I mean, I would still be absolutely, I won't say the S word, I would still be bricking it behind my sofa, because you know what's going to happen. This is round and round and round in circles, and we are going nowhere. fast. It's so frustrating. When was the last time we signed a proper player? You know, I mean, Timo Werner, come on. You know, Johnson had his little spell. He's been languishing. Dragusin had a good spell. He looks like he doesn't know whether to stick or twist half the time. It's you know, we've got Son, and don't get me wrong, I absolutely, what he's done for our club has been absolutely amazing. Having said that, I'm fed up of seeing him looking at his boots, not being able to look at the camera and saying, you know, feel sorry for the fans, feel sorry for everyone that's travelled. You know, Son, we love you. I love you. I think you will always be a Spurs legend for what you've done with this club. But this lost little schoolboy look every time we lose, I don't want to see it. You know, it's. I can't see that. My eye. What does Boris do? I just, we're going round and round in circles with this, and plus ça change. Nothing will change until Levy has gone, and he's not going to go. We want Levy out. Say we want Levy out. He hears this every game now. It's probably like water off a duck's back. The first couple of times he heard it, he probably thought, "Oh wow." Now it's like it's de rigueur. He hears it every single game. You know, there's chants about him. He doesn't care. As Mido said today, that was the other thing I wanted to say. Mido's rant. He's the most fantastic businessman. What he's done for the stadium, and he wants to build a hotel now. He's the most unbelievable businessman. He knows how to make a profit. He knows how to make a profit or two. But he's not interested in seeing us push on up the league and fight. It doesn't interest him. It doesn't interest him. If it did interest him, we would know about it because we would be there or thereabouts. We're not there or thereabouts. It's so frustrating. We're going round and round and round and round and round. We could get any manager in, Chris, any manager, and it would be the same. It would be the same.
When Andrew actually came in the summer before last, and we got business done early, and we were all excited, thinking business is done early. We're operating now differently as a football club. Of course, many off-field changes as well as on-field. Of course, Harry Kane left as well. At that point, when we were signing players early in the transfer window, and let me go back to even last January as well. Radu Dragusin, we got him in. Timo Werner at the time, it seemed like a clever move at the time. I know it's not quite worked out since, you know, re-signing him again. But did you have that confidence that we were operating differently and more positively in transfer windows? And have you been disappointed? I know this is probably an obvious question and answer, but have you been disappointed by this window as well?
Well, yeah. Like I said, I can't remember the last time we signed someone. I mean, Solanke's been great. Don't get me wrong. Solanke's been brilliant. And all right, he doesn't score as many goals as potentially he should as a striker. But like we know his work rate, what he does off the ball, he's been a revelation for us. In answer to your question, I was excited. I didn't know who Ange was really. I knew that he managed Celtic, and I watched I found an hour-long documentary on him on YouTube, and I liked his mentality. But I'm not excited anymore. And as much as I want him to stay, I'm very much at Ange in. This is the other point I want to make, Chris, and I don't know if this has been said already. But the other point I make is that even if and when we get all our players back, okay, so we get Van der Ven back, we get Romero, we get all the guys back. My concern is that because he only knows one way to play, and he's said that, he's stapled his colours to the mast, and everyone knows that whether it's the first minute, 30 seconds, the second minute, or the 89th minute, or the 94th minute, he will only play one way. Now, as a result of that, because he's not going to change, because he doesn't bring on defenders and retain leads and try and sit back and just see the game out, we're going to get found out. And I'm really worried that even with a full-strength team, you'll get other teams playing against us that will play a long ball, negate our midfield, over the top, and we'll get hit. And I'm really worried, not statistically, what's the word I'm looking for? It'll come to me. The word I'm looking for, tactically, that we are going to be easy to play against, and that is my real worry. I'd love to know what you think about that. Actually, I don't know whether this has been discussed, but tactically, I'm concerned that even with a full team, managers are going to go, all right, because our line is so high.
Do you know what, Darren? The amount of times when other fans come on, even channels like this, in the comments and say, well, you aren't footballers, you haven't played the game, you don't know, you're not experts, blah, 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 blah. I get all of that. You know, we're fans. You know, we haven't played professional football in the Premier League. Absolutely not. However, people that have, you know, pundits now who have played the game at the highest level, you know, won many trophies in their careers, they keep coming out and saying, you cannot play like this.
Right. Okay. Right. I mean, yeah, there's. I mean, listened to Talk Sport today. All they wanted to talk about was Tottenham and Man U. You know, I looked at my YouTube feed. There was Jamie Hara going on a 9-minute rant. I didn't have the energy to watch that. I watched Mido's thing. But yeah, and absolutely right. I've never kicked a ball in my life, really. But tactically, I'm just worried now that with this really high line, that managers just going to be licking their lips, because he's telling them, whereas other managers chop and change and they make substitutions and they do tactical changes that, you know, and they say, who are you playing? The report will say, who are you starting today? And they say, well, you'll have to see, because the cards are close to the chest and they don't want to know which, you know, like a chess game. With Ange, and again, I'll say it, as much as I'm very much Ange in, he only knows one way of playing. And if we know the way he's going to play, everyone's going to know the way he plays. And our managers, the opposition managers, then surely we're going to be easy to play against. I mean, it's easier said than done. Don't get me wrong. It's easier said than done. But like I said, that high line, I'm worried. I'm worried.
Darren, lastly, I do agree with what you're saying, because the way I see it, there's two things here for me. Either just the pundits are right and playing this way in the Premier League is never going to work, or it could work, it would be revolutionary, but our players aren't good enough. So which is it? It's got to be one of those, hasn't it?
Yeah, you've got to have players that are absolutely super fit. And I think I heard I've forgotten who it was today, but also with this high energy, and you got, you know, the wing backs inverting and running forward, then they got to come back and defend. The amount of running you've got to do, and you're seeing injuries without even kicking the ball. You know, was it Van der Ven who pulled up with his hamstring? You know, you've got to be super, super fit. He wants everyone to be all things to all men. That's how you've got to play in this team if you're going to play his system. And he said, I will not change. I will not. And he gets fed up and he berates reporters and he has a go at them. And he says, this is my ethos. This is, you know, are you not entertained? You know, and all of this, and which is great, but I'm just worried that we're going to get found out. I really am. I'm sorry.
I'm worried I'm worried that we're going to get found out, Darren, because when we organise the charity game of the Spurs Chat podcast playing, and you're going to be in our high line, I'm worried that we're going to be found out.
Don't worry about that, mate. I'm super fit. I could run for days. Don't you worry about me, son.
We've got Craig Dearman up front. We've always got goals in us.
Yeah.
There you go.
It's honestly, it's. I don't know. We've got to play Liverpool at their place. We're only, you know, if we'd have got a second goal, even then he's not going to sit back and defend it. He's not going to play it cagey and maybe hit them on the back. He only knows one way. You know, we've got the Europa League. All right, you know, we're playing minnows, but we haven't got a first team. We got the FA Cup. We got bloody Villa. You know, and what a manager he is.
We would hope, though, Darren, that a lot of our injured players are back, particularly Romero and Van der Ven, for these key games.
Absolutely. And you know, hopefully that will make the difference. But I just hope he's not a one-trick pony. He started off very belligerently and stubbornly, and then he started to make, you know, substitutions and make tactical changes a little bit, but it's still a very, very belligerent, one-dimensional way of playing. I don't know.
Do you know that, Darren, I've tried to have a little bit of a laugh with you today, but I can see how serious you are, obviously, about the situation. And I don't know whether you heard or just watched Melvin. You know, Melvin seemed very, very emotional. I tell you, we're all feeling it at the moment. I tell you, I've at work today. It just seemed like walking around, and people kept asking me about Spurs, and I just did not want to talk about Tottenham today. I was really, really moody today. Particularly, thinking about Spurs 3-0 down at Everton. I tell you, that was hard to take.
I know. And you watch them come rain, come shine, and, even when we got those 2 goals, I jokingly said, I think on our group, here we go, 4-3.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, you talked about, Richarlison. All right, he got a goal, at the back post. Lovely cross by Mikey Moore. Richarlison isn't the one. He's not the one. Timo Werner's not the one. Manor Solomon scored for Leeds the other day. What's his face? Doherty scored for Wolves. Even Emerson Royal. Oh, I mean, come on. Look at Nuno. I mean, he's flying. I don't know what it is about well, we do know what it is about our club, but it's.
Yeah.
Oh, mate. It's like as long as that man is in charge of our club, we are going nowhere. We may win a club, we're going to languish in the league, and if we get top 4 or Europa League, everyone will get excited, and then it will be rinse and repeat until he's gone, and he's not going anywhere. I'm sorry, it's that thing, isn't it? It's just Spurs. I fucking hate it.
I honestly think people would be deluded if they think that we are getting anywhere near top 4 this season, because that is definitely not happening.
No, not this, Chris, not this season, mate. No.
Yeah, I'm just saying, because I'm sure there's 1 or 2 out there who think there's a chance that is absolutely not happening.
Well, I want the number of their dealer if they think that.
Darren, thank you so much for joining us, and we'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Darren.
Sorry I wasn't a bit more, a song and a dance and all, all of that.
No, I get it.
All right, mate. Lots of love. Take care.
Speak to you soon.
See you, mate. Bye.
I'm so sorry for everyone waiting. We have been recording now for nearly 2.5 hours. We're going to go to Tim. Tim, good evening. Sorry for keeping you waiting. How are you?
Yeah, it's been entertaining, isn't it? It's been a bit entertaining this evening, isn't it?
Has it?
How am I? Yeah, wow. In a soap.
So we are, mate.
Way, It's who we are.
Come on, Tim. Where are you? Where are you on the whole thing? Spill your guts. Come on.
Spill my guts. I worry now that there's so many systemic problems throughout the club that when you look at each area of it, you just see a problem. There's a problem with the players. Half of them are just not putting a shift in. Certainly the senior players don't seem to have any gumph about them. We've certainly not got someone with a lot of fight in them. We need a big C word in the centre of midfield who's willing to shout and kick people. We just haven't got that person. And we're relying on the young ones who do. So the players aren't putting the shift in. I think the manager's a little bit out of his depth. I love Ange. I've seeing him all of last year and a bit of this year. He's a fantastic manager, potentially. But I'm with the rest. I think he's one-dimensional. And, he talks about having a depleted squad. One will argue first that no other club is that far down on players. So there must be an issue, not just with the physios, but with what's going on with training and the way how hard they're playing the players. And then they're not rotating enough or giving players a chance enough. But 2, that I agree with a couple of your last people that he's kind of been fan out a bit, that he's saying, right, I haven't got those players, so I need to change it up. I need to, like against Liverpool, it's like, right, we've got that lead. We need to sit back a bit and do something. And I think it's foolish in the extreme that he just doesn't want to do something new. And we haven't even gone into the board and some of the, I think the culture in the club, or was it Melv who was saying, there isn't a culture in the club which is, I hate to lose. I absolutely hate to lose. There's a I was watching a podcast or something somewhere, and they said it was other supporters, and they saw Tottenham as a kind of nice club. The reason they're a nice club is they're not a threat. And I think that's how it feels at the moment. We're not a threat. And my friends ask me, what do you think the score's going to be this week? And I'll say 5-2. And they'll say, to who? I said, I have no idea. And that's what it feels like at the moment.
Tim, you sound so similar to me.
It's my North London roots, mate. And I've been doing this for so long. I think it reminds me a bit of the Famous Five, you know, when it was kind of, but even more crazy than watching the Famous Five back in the day. It's like yesterday. Was it yesterday? It feels like a week ago already.
Yeah, it was yesterday. Yeah,
so bad that I was just sitting there with my mouth open, going, "This is appalling." I mean, it was the match where Ange should have been going, "We are not letting a goal in," which is never happening. It's just not happening. That he's sitting there and going, "We are not. If you let a goal in, I will knock your teeth out." Kind of attitude.
Doesn't that make it worse though? Go into a back three, and then I mentioned it on the podcast yesterday, which really infuriated me. The way that the ball over the top, Calvert-Lewin on the end of it, really poor touch from him. Just so much space.
Yeah, and there's 3 players around, and no one can go and put a foot in. But then you've got Archie Gray, who's like 10 years old and fantastic player. And you've got 2 other defenders around him who can't get the ball. Calvert-Lewin was winning a header all day long, and I was so worried about the knock-on because no one was picking it up. There seemed to be so much space everywhere, and it was the game to go. I think I was just seeing so many other sports where really, really good coaches go, "We're going to play this way today because this is what we need, and this is what we need to win. We need to gather some confidence. We've already got this lead," or whatever it is. I think he's been found out. I just think he has. But the issue I've got is who would replace us? I don't think anyone would. If I'm honest with you, I think Ange got the job because he was the last man standing because no other bugger wanted to manage us. And I think that's exactly the same this time round.
Tim, I think it was Melvin said about the Conte rant at Southampton, and I go back and watch that occasionally as well because most of what he said, in fact, almost all of what he said was spot on, in my opinion. He just obviously paid the price for it, but I don't think he cared by then. I think Conte had checked out. I think one of the lines in it is, "The history of Tottenham is this." And that resonates with me because it goes back to what I was saying before. It's this constant cycle of failure, if you like, and doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. Is that how you see it as well? The history of Tottenham is this.
Yeah, I mean, I work at a radio station where they're all bloody gooners, right? Which is a nightmare. And they're really ruthless. They're really ruthless about the way they look at it, and I don't think we are. I even as a fan base, there's like, oh yeah, we want this beautiful football, which is great, right? But there seems less of a desire to actually really get gritty and get on with it. And I think that's a whole permutation throughout the whole club for as long as I've known them. And that was me watching Glenn Hoddle scoring a beautiful volley at the edge of the box against Liverpool in 1922 or whenever it was, and what it felt like. That they were always a beautiful club and we wanted those things, but we were like the nice auntie. They were okay, but kind of, we go around there for sweets and that's it. What are we? And I think there's that, which surprises me because I think that the Levy family are like ruthless businessmen, ruthless, but the club doesn't feel that way. I mean, I think Ange does to a point. I think he's got a ruthlessness about him, which kind of moves on to comms. I think the comms from the manager to the club to the chairman are awful. They seem to, there seems to be a disdain in everything that's going on. There's no sense that, certainly from the club, that the fans are of any great worth. And I think Ange's attitudes, particularly towards the press, is really crap. Like he does himself no favors whatsoever. And I think it goes back to that idea that I feel he's fighting against something that's systemic problem.
He really wants to win, though, Tim. I don't think there's any doubt about that. And when you go back, I think someone else mentioned this evening, that when you look back at Jose Mourinho appointment, Antonio Conte appointment, I felt at the time very excited about those appointments. Actually, I know a lot of people won't agree with me, but I feel like They come into the club. They really wanted to change it. They are born winners. They've won everywhere they have gone, particularly Jose Mourinho, every single club. And I was so excited at the time thinking, my God, this is it. This is it. We are finally going to put a trophy in the cabinet. Of course, 6 days before the final, he's sacked. Now, managers like that, Jose Mourinho, Antonio Conte, they wanted to change things at the club. They wanted the very, very best. They wanted the best signings. They wanted the best at Spurs in order for us to be winners. You know, Antonio Conte, Craig just mentioned that rant. You know, he wanted to change things. When's it going to be different? Because I felt when Ange Postecoglou was appointed, I thought, this is it. This is it. You know, with this board, I don't feel like they can go anywhere else because they've gone down the win now route, and now they've brought in a guy that's going to entertain us. And we were told by Daniel Levy as well that this is a manager being brought in that, you know, utilises all of our youth system as well. And I must admit as well, I've been a little bit disappointed the fact that the under-21s, probably the best under-21 team I've known supporting Spurs last year, won 2 trophies at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, I might add. I'll get that in. And we haven't really used a lot of the youth players. And even when we've had all of these injuries that Ange Postecoglou has gone on about, they haven't really had the opportunities that they perhaps should have.
No, and like, you know, it's been almost like forced. Just Spence is a good example. You know, I know he's not an academy player, but he's a young player.
You're right.
Mike Moore and Lancashire get like one chance. I know he got sent off and scored a goal, but there's some games you think he's a big boy. And he's keen. He's going to put himself about a bit. No, we'll put Sonny up front. Oh, come on. You know, it seems a really strange decisions that are being made. That you were saying, there are so many problems. Those players are out on their feet. I mean, clearly they're either tired or they don't want to play. And I do worry, actually, just to add to that, there's always that worry that players stay injured because they don't really want to come back, and I get that sense with a few people. Hopefully that's not the case, but 12 really. But I'm with you. Why isn't he sticking in a few more kids just to try them out, even 15-20 minutes towards the end of a game if we're losing, or you know, just to freshen it up? But no, you know, I'm going to stick, you know, I'm going to stick Basuma on again. It's like, oh, really? It's tired. It's tired. I worry that we're just going round and round in circles. No matter if I wanted Ange out, we wouldn't have, short of Ryan Mason, we'd have no choices. So I think we stick with Ange, but they need to back him like now.
We always seem too nice though, Tim, don't we? And you mentioned there about you want that midfielder. You know, when Jose Mourinho come in, and when I watched the Amazon documentary, and he said, you know, I need you lot to be a bunch of, you know.
Yeah.
We're still not seeing it.
Yeah. No, and the problem is the leadership team seemed like nice blokes. Either, as someone, I think Mel kindly said, either YouTube stars, Madison's getting right up my bloody nose with that, or really nice guys like Sonny, who seems like, you know, got a lot of respect, is a nice guy. I don't want that in my leader. I want a barking captain. I want a general who pushes people around and says, you're not doing well, either get on with it or F off. And we just don't have anyone like that in the club, as far as I can see. I think people like Bergvall will turn into that, but we need to be buying a decent number 6 or someone, you know, nasty. Graham Roberts, bring Graham back. He'll be fine.
I don't know whether a lot of these sorts of people exist anymore. Like we spoke about this the other day, like your Roy Keanes nowadays. Do they exist?
I think someone like Rice does, you know. I think he puts himself about, shouts. He's a big figure. Even Rodri to a point. I know he's fairly quiet, but he makes his presence known. And
I think Roy Keane would snap Declan Rice in half. Actually,
yeah, they don't really exist anymore. I think Graham Roberts playing now would probably snap Declan Rice in half. But I know what you mean. But do you see what I mean about those leadership figures? And in other clubs you've got those. You've got kind of mouthy, pushing forward, like Bruyne, for instance. He pushes people and he shouts at people. We don't seem to have that at all.
No.
Tim, last question for you. The most important one. Did you hear what I said about the paint earlier? Who's to blame?
I think Craig is fully to blame. It's the painter. I'm afraid it's the painter. Unfortunately, it does come down to Ange, because I will blame Levy for a load of things, but I think Ange, he's the manager and he needs to take the can, as you rightly say, and he has got what he's got. and he needs to work with that. And he can't have his system just fitted nicely in. He needs to adapt, and he can't do that. As you say, he's not putting a decent bottom layer on. He's just doing fancy stuff.
And on that note, thank you very much, Tim.
Cheers, sirs.
Tim, we'd love to have you back. You've been a great guest. Thank you so much.
Yeah, cheers, Tim.
You have a good night. And come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs, indeed. Well, we've had some great guests on today. Let's go to Steve in the Czech Republic. Steve, great to have you here again. How are you?
I'm still awake, yeah.
Nice they're an hour ahead over there, I think, aren't they? Yeah.
I've actually watched the whole program, and it's difficult to. It's been great. So difficult to say something new or original. So
well, okay. Let me go in straight on this one then. Who do you agree with? Who do you disagree with? Because there's been lots of different opinions this evening.
Yeah, I agree with Simon, the Aussie, and it just shows you that's the typical Aussie determination that we've seen in a lot of sports. Like when they're losing at rugby, you just know they're not done. They're never done, and that's what I like about this spirit. And I think obviously Anne just got that same kind of spirit. So, and Melvin to an extent as well. Yeah, I liked what they said. Yeah, a lot. I've got a couple of answers as well. My answers to a couple of questions that somebody put up, because it's not else to me to, as I say, to add to all these wonderful guests you've had on. Why somebody asked, why did we buy Dragusin when he's got no pace, or not a lot of pace that we need at the back? And all I could think of was perhaps because he's good in the air, or Romero and Van der Ven, despite his height, they're not particularly good in the air. At the back when they play defensively, Romero's actually better when he's in the box for us, scoring goals, the odd header now and again. But if you remember the early game against Leicester, where he loses Jamie Vardy at the back post, and a couple of times he's been beaten in the air. You know, if you think about Romero, he's not particularly good in the air, and even Van der Ven, who's obviously extremely good at pace, is not particularly good in the air. So that's the only reason I could imagine why he got Dragusin. You've seen him play and be good in the air, but that was just a comment, you know.
But Steve, so where are you with the whole Lange thing? And do we keep him? Do we let him go?
And where are you on the paint situation as well?
Yeah, that was a good analogy. I quite like that. Yeah.
We don't want to gloss over it, but.
Oh
yeah.
No, I don't want to appear to be too much of a drip, so I won't comment on it.
We're just brushing over a lot. We're brushing over a lot tonight, aren't we?
Yeah, there's been a lot of where am I with? No, not the analogy, the comparison. I don't mean it in any disrespect to Alex Ferguson, more as a better the devil you know, or give someone a chance till the very end. In answer to a lot of the questions, how long do we give him? And we all know the story about Alex Ferguson. Started in '86, and then they won the first FA Cup final. It was 1990, the 1989-90 season. Do you know where they finished in the league that year, United?
It was about 16th, wasn't it?
It was 13th. It was
13th, sorry.
And they lost 16 games. They lost 16 games, and they, obviously, and they kept him on. They kept him there, and he got into a final. But this is why I'm thinking what you've all been saying, or a few have been saying, that he's got to actually somehow, and I also find it as an extremely tall order to beat Liverpool and get through and actually win. We've also got to beat probably Newcastle in the final. It's not, so that he will definitely go. I'm not sure about the FA Cup. I'm not even sure about the Europa League, to be honest. So no, I would give him a little bit more time. Definitely a bit more time. We're not going to get relegated, like you said yourself. It's a worrying position.
Yeah,
we shouldn't be there for our club, but I'm totally on board exactly with what Simon was saying. Just stay. Everyone needs to stay cool. They're amazingly cool under pressure, the Aussies. So.
Do you know why we're not getting relegated though, Steve? Because all the teams below us are worse than us, and they're terrible.
They are.
It's not about us. It's about them.
Yeah, it's nothing to be proud of, I know, but it's
exactly.
It's nice to know. It's a cushion we've got there, so we don't fall right the way through to the, we get relegated. So no, I'm not worried about that.
I guess what it is really is Angie's trying to paint a wall, right? And the brush he's got is like a 1-inch brush, and this wall's huge. This is a really big wall where you want a couple of really decent big fat rollers, right? But he's trying to do it with a brush.
Yeah, that's
So we need a couple of top quality rollers to get the job done, because he's working with little brushes at the moment, isn't he? Really, Steve? Oh, that's what I think.
And the
if you want
bristles
to
are
bring it
falling
back
out.
to paint, and the bristles are falling out, because the last owner didn't wash the brushes out properly.
Yeah. At the moment, he's just paping over the cracks, basically.
What's his podcast gone to?
Steve, last one for you. Steve, last one for you. We talk about transfers all the time, and I've mentioned this 1,000 times. The last signing that I really got excited about was Klinsmann in '94, because at that point we brought in a world-class player at that time. I know we created some world-class players, Gareth Bale, etc. And of course, I've been very excited about people like Rafa van der Vaart coming into the club. Absolutely brilliant. When was the last time you really got excited about a player coming in?
That is a bloody good question.
So someone you thought, wow, this is absolutely fantastic for a club like Spurs to be bringing them in.
The last one for me was Bale coming back. Really.
I'd probably go along with that, because I can't think of anyone really in the last 20 odd years that really made me think that. Talking about this transfer window, it's late again. Why is it so late? Why aren't there sort of some options in place? We were after that guy that decided he wants to. See, we're in such a terrible position in the league, though. That's gone against us as well. It's really bad timing. If we were further up the league, people would say, "Oh yeah, they got into Europa League last season, and maybe this season they're thereabouts. They're building." But we've gone to such depths. It's the same with the manager situation. We're in such a mess. But for new players, I mean, who's going to want to come to a club which is languishing at the bottom half of the table and doing as badly as we are? So, if you were a player, if you were that guy, Mano, whatever his name was, that went to Juventus, he didn't want to come to us because he wouldn't be getting Champions League football. Well, that was what they said. I don't know how true that is, but
we'll be back, Steve. We'll be back.
Definitely. And just Darren's point, what he's worried about the long ball over the top. I think a lot of that, I know it sounds a bit bizarre, but I think Kinski's going to negate a lot of that. He's going to be well ways on the edge of his box all the time. And that is one of the reasons we did so well against Liverpool. He was sweeping up all the time. And he was also playing a long ball. He was negating their press with that side kick that he does without any, the flat kick. So those two aspects helped us a lot. Not saying that the keeper's going to save us, but I think, and when we get Van der Ven back as well, obviously he can chase back. But I think the keeper's going to be just like a sweeper, because if you look at the Manchester City keeper and and the Liverpool keeper, they also play extremely, they act as sweepers. They do a good job. They're both very good with their feet. He's very young, and I'm pleased we've got him at least. But I'm very disappointed again. The blame falls, with the club and the no transfers. Who are we going to get? So disappointing.
Steve, very lastly, two wins this week. Hoffenheim, Leicester.
Yes, I said in the programme the other night, didn't I? Didn't think we'd beat. Didn't think we'd beat Everton, but I think both wins. They're 15th in the Bundesliga and we're 15th in the Premier League. Whatever that's worth. It's terrible, isn't it? Really. So, and we're actually considering. We're actually. Are we going to win that? And whereas in the past, well, not too distant past, it would have been, we're going to hammer those. We're going to get through. We're definitely going to be right. Now we're all worried about every bloody game. It's terrible. Yeah, 2 wins. In answer to that, I think hopefully we're going to bounce back, because we keep saying that, don't we? We keep hoping, living in hope. But I've been a Spurs fan long enough, like you guys, to keep hoping. Oh, just one last thing. being
Go
a
on.
Spurs fan is also bloody dangerous as well. I've been long distance running since I was about 11. I've never had an injury of any kind. You know, I ran a half marathon last year here locally, and I ran on Saturday morning. I was doing a 10K run, and after 6K, I pulled up sharp. I've never pulled up with a muscle injury, and I was just hobbling the last 4K home. And I was saying, bloody hell, even as, you know, it's even getting to me personally now. I'm getting an injury just being a fan of the club.
Steve's out for the next couple of weeks of the Spurs Chat podcast with a hamstring.
Brilliant.
Well, Steve, we wish you well. Hopefully, you'll be on the mend, and we'll speak to you soon.
Yeah, I'll see you
Cheers, Steve.
After the game. Yeah, see you, Craig. Very nice, great program. Some brilliant guests, guys. Really good insight. It's good to have different views.
Absolutely.
Sure is.
Yeah.
Thank you, Steve.
Great job.
Cheers.
Thanks very much. Cheers. Now.
Thanks, Steve. Bye.
Right, we're now going to go to Gary. Gary, evening. Sorry for the wait. How are you?
Boys? Yeah, I'm good, thank you. How are you guys? You all right?
Oh, yeah. Okay. All right, Gal.
Superb.
Gary, you're going to be on the Spurs Chat podcast with Craig after the Hoffenheim game.
Debut, Chris, making my debut. Let's hope I don't get a red card, though, eh?
Are you feeling confident?
What about going on a podcast?
No, but about the game.
Okay.
Could be the podcast.
Or should we talk about the paint?
Yeah, well, Craig done a great analogy about, you know, the 1-inch brush and the big wall. I'd just chuck the tin of paint at the wall, personally.
I think we've tried that, haven't we?
The paint at the wall.
I think you tried that, Levy. Yeah.
Talking about Hoffenheim, I'm more confident about coming on the podcast than I am watching the actual game, to be honest with you. You know, let me just say this. I personally, my thoughts are that football is a results-driven industry, isn't it?
Yes.
You know, the better the results, the more points you get. The more points you get, you go higher up the league. If you get more points than anybody else, guess what? You win the league. Stats are stats at the end of the day. I tend to, personally, I look at performances, which, funny enough, get you points that get you further up the league, that potentially you can win the league. That performance on Sunday was, I'm going to be really polite, not very good. Let's put it that way. It was abject. There was no guts. I said to Barnaby when I was on the fan calling, you know, no blood and guts, no thunder. We were just so passive, so easy to play against. Again, we made Everton look fantastic. And they're not a fantastic team by any stretch. So, yeah, not good. But I'm still positive. Don't know why.
Where do you stand, Gary, about the whole Land situation? Do you think he should be given more time, or
no? And I can't.
You want him out?
I've supported him. He wasn't my choice originally. He wasn't even on my radar. And when it was announced that he was getting a job, I was underwhelmed. Let's put it that way. But nevertheless, I've supported him right up, and be honest with you, right up until the Everton game. That Everton game for me, that's the straw that broke the camel's back for me personally. I hate to say it, genuinely, I do hate to say it, because I really wanted it to work, but I just don't see a way forward from here, personally. And I know it's great that everyone's got their opinions, and opinions differ. The fan base has totally been split, but this has been going on for a year. I think I said it previously. This isn't the last month, 6 weeks, 8 weeks. This has been going on for a period now. And I think we're at a point where we're 15th in the league. And it's precarious, guys, isn't it? It really is. I can't remember us being this adrift. I can't remember the fan base being so, against each other and negative. And, you look at the comments that come through. You look at the guys that have been on it tonight, all brilliant, by the way. Everyone's saying one thing, and then others are saying another thing. There's no real middle ground. It's all one or the other. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So it's frustrating, to say the least, at the minute.
Gary, what have you made of Richarlison in these last couple of games? Of course, 2 sub appearances against Arsenal and Everton. Of course, scored our second goal against Everton yesterday. Solanke, of course, is going to be out for a couple of weeks now. Richie's got to step up now, hasn't he?
He has. To be fair to him, good goal on Sunday. Lovely ball in from Mikey Moore. But I'll be honest with you, I wouldn't pin my hat on Richarlison, if I'm honest. If we keep him fit, then we've got half a chance, haven't we? But the problem has always been since he joined the club, in terms of just keeping him on the pitch. I don't think he's a £60 million striker. Dominic Solanke is, in my opinion. He's a different level. He can actually finish. But yeah, for me, Richarlison, no. I'm always honest.
Who you obviously said about Ange there, Gary. Who'd you bring in if you had a choice? Who would you bring in? Who's available?
I said Barnaby asked me the same question on Sunday, and I just went Pochettino. Didn't even blink. Didn't even hesitate. It's not going to happen. I'm not deluded, but that's what I would do. I'd get on a plane if I was Daniel Levy. I'd fly across to the States with a briefcase full of cash, £50 notes, waving in front of his, play on his heartstrings.
And then what, Gary? And then what? So Pochettino turns up tomorrow. What changes? What's different?
We'll be able to defend for a start. That will be the starting point. Other than that, probably not a lot. He won't get supported. No manager will get supported. History tells us that. But as I said to Barnaby, when Pochettino was at the club, for me, and I've supported Spurs for too long, really, it was the best football I've seen. I actually, I watched the games and I was really excited to watch a game. At the moment, I'm sat there, and I said to you last time, Chris, if we're 3-0 up, I'm panicking. Do you know what I mean? It's just like, we're so wide open. It's and I did say last time as well, when it clicks, it really is exhilarating. It's great to watch, but it's not clicking. It hasn't clicked for a while. Intermittently, the odd game here and there.
What was the last Ange game that you were most excited about?
Probably either the City or the Southampton game. City for a different reason. I mean, Southampton, it was half expected. I mean, if we didn't at least win against Southampton, something, it's not right. But the City game, I thought we were outstanding. But again, it's really few and far between. It's not a weekly occurrence. We can't win every game. I get that. But I'll go back to my first point. It's all about the performance for me, because that will then lead to the points. Do you know what I mean? And we can get up that league.
Craig, I don't know about you. With the whole Pochettino thing, I just felt, or I do feel, that it had to happen like when Ange came in. It had to happen then. I just can't see. I can't see Pochettino coming back to Spurs now, particularly after managing Chelsea, going off to USA. I feel like I don't know the timing. I don't feel it's going to be right. Do you agree?
I can see him coming back one day. Whether that day is when Ange eventually goes, I don't know. I mean, I'd love it. I think he is one of the only people that understands the club. He knows the club. Some of the players are still there, not many, but some. I just think, like been said in the chat there, he's not going to leave the USA job with the World Cup coming up. There's no way it happens.
No.
Well, I say there's no way it happens. Money does talk. Everybody's got a price, and there's a price for everything and everyone. So if Daniel Levy did want Poch back that badly, as Gary said, you take a suitcase full of £50 notes out there, his head is going to be turned. But I can't see it happening. I can't see him doing that. I don't know what Poch's payout is. Not payout. The payoff for the job. But who knows? Stranger things have happened in football. I personally, if they do sack Ange, I'd rather see something like Harry Redknapp come in interim coach and then reassess in the summer. But I'm not sure.
Actually, I was just going to say, what do you guys think? I mean, I don't think. I think Harry Redknapp, just on an interim basis, I see a few people would laugh at that, but that wouldn't be a bad, in my opinion, wouldn't be such a bad idea. To be fair, he'd motivate the players. That's for sure.
He would.
He would absolutely motivate the players. But what do you guys think in terms of who we should go for? Let's say, just for example, Ange lasts until the summer. They don't get rid of him. They back him a bit in the transfer window.
I don't think you could answer that. I don't think anyone can answer that, Gary, because I feel like at the moment there aren't many managers around, and a lot of the media have covered that today. The Guardian, the Telegraph have said that pretty much, there's no managers around that Spurs would see as attractive, appointment at the minute. Yeah. But in the summer, it could be very, very different. But in the summer, it could be very different because Ange Postecoglou could have won a trophy or two. We never know. We talk a lot about league position, but if we're going to talk about the positives, and as Ange said, and I think that he got ridiculed for it yesterday in him saying, well, we're still in all four competitions. Of course, we know we're not going to win the Premier League, but we are still in the other three, and you never ever know what's going to happen. And when those players, and I'm starting to be positive now we're coming up to the 3-hour mark on this podcast, but we are still in those cups, and you never know what's going to happen because we're going to get those players back. Van der Ven, Romero come back, it could look very different. Solanke, if we actually get some service to Solanke in the middle and he starts firing, it could be very, very different.
Yeah, I agree. I'm just saying. I think our best chance, I've said it all along, is the Europa League. I really do. I think if we can, change our fortunes and really get our teeth into that competition, I think that's a great opportunity. And again, that will give us Champions League. So if we finish 12th, 13th, 11th, or whatever in the league, but we can win that Europa League, everyone's happy. We're happy because we've got a trophy. Ange is happy because he's won a trophy in his second season. Daniel Levy's laughing all the way to the bank. Everyone's happy. I'd take anything. I said to you before, I'm still dining out on the Audi Cup. At the end of the day, a trophy's a trophy. We can't be snobbish about it, can we? At the end of the day, but our League form does worry me. That's my concern. We're dropping like a stone. It's not like we've just had a bit of a blip. This has been going on for a period of time, and that's the worry for me, Craig.
Yeah.
Gary, last question. Sorry. You're going to do the last. Gary, last question for you. Give us a score prediction for the game when you're joining me on the podcast Thursday. So make it a good prediction and a prediction for the Leicester game on Sunday.
Okay. I did say previously that I thought that he would be lucky to get to the Leicester game. So with that in mind, I'm going to completely switch it up. And I'm going to say we're going to beat Hoffenheim and we're going to beat Leicester. Bit of positivity to end it.
Good stuff.
And I want to come on the show and have a great, positive, show. I don't want to be coming on moaning about this, that, and the other. That's not good for anybody, is it? At the end of the day.
Let's hope so.
Yeah.
Let's hope so.
Well, whatever happens Thursday, me and Ricky Norwood will be drinking the German beer in Hoffenheim. So you two have a great podcast, won't you?
Thank you. You keep an eye on him. Keep a close eye on him. Make sure he doesn't get the train to Watford rather than
exactly. He's got to meet me at the right airport. That's going to be a task and a half. I said to him today, we're meeting here at this time, and then again and again, get it into him, Good luck with that. Gary, thank you so much. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you, guys. Much appreciated. Have a nice
Cheers.
Cheers.
We've now got Simon with us. Simon, good evening. How are you?
Good. How are you guys?
Very good.
Simon.
Well, very, very good personally. But the football yesterday, that was a hard watch. What did you make of it?
Yeah. So I myself had a game right afterwards, and
how did you get on?
Took a lot of anger out on the field. So, but no, we ended up losing too. So just that kind of day, just that kind of day.
They do go like that. Where are you in the whole situation, Simon? Do you think are you Ange in, Ange out, or Anged out?
Well, I'm not. Let me see. How do I put this? I'm not anti-Levy. I'm not anti-Ange. I'm not anti any players. I'm pro Tottenham Hotspurs. That's who I am. So whoever is here at this very moment, I'm always going to be behind them. It's frustrating. It's frustrating as hell right now. I hate losing, and every loss have hurt a little bit more. But kind of like the Aussie Simon, I can only control what I can control, and at this point, it's just trying to stay calm, not get too reactive one way or another, and as hard as it is to do sometimes, um, I just, I know everybody's going to handle things a little bit different, but for me, that seems to work best. So, yeah, I mean, I'm going to get angry and frustrated during the game, but once I have some time to kind of collect myself, yeah, I still think you know that I know a lot's been asked about how do we get out of this situation that we're in right now, what is the way forward. And no, I mean, it would help tremendously if we get a couple signings in. That's going to help out a lot, but ultimately that's still going to be just an additional 2 or 3 players. So the real big improvement is once we have our first team players, like the important players, once we have those guys come back, that's the only way that we can really make some drastic improvements. Um, I still believe that, if all things, you know, goes to according to plan, all things go well, that we can still finish in the top 10 because I'm just looking at the numbers, looking at the math. Yeah, I mean, if we go on a good run, like you guys have mentioned, the teams below us and the teams around us, I mean, we got plenty of room. Our goal difference are still really, really good. And our points total are not that far behind, everyone else. So, if we go on a nice run, I can easily see in a couple of weeks, we'll be able to get up to, you know, 8, 9 easily.
So are you Angie in, Angie out, or where do you stand on the manager?
Angie in till the end.
Till the end, right?
Till the end. Like I said, if he's my manager right now, I'm gonna be with him. The minute he's not with us, whoever they bring in, then I'm gonna be that guy in. But yeah, I just don't believe in, it's pretty easy to find fault, I mean, like it's always when things are bad, you can point the fingers anywhere and you can find faults. So and I've seen plenty of that today on the show. So, I'm just gonna leave it as that. I'll try to focus on the positive. I know it's getting towards the end of the show, 3 hours already. So I'll try to keep things as positive as possible. Yeah, I think we'll go and have a good result on Thursday. Um, hopefully Chris and Ricky will have a lot of fun in Germany and come back and get our first Premier League win in a while.
Yeah. I feel like I need a night off from the Spurs Chat podcast, actually, Simon. I really do. So good luck to Craig, especially if it's a disappointing result on Thursday.
It'll be a short one, to put it that way. It's a disappointing result.
It'll be done in 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Simon, Ange Postecoglou has come out and said a couple of times now in this January transfer window, so in the last couple of weeks, he's come out and said that the club are working very hard on getting players in this window, and he seems to be quite okay about it. Do you buy that, or secretly, he must be frustrated the fact that we haven't got players in the door 20th of January? I know we've got Kinski, but I mean outfield players.
So full disclosure, I mean, I feel like a lot of things that, even when pundits and things like that, or quote unquote, in the know, when they put out stuff, I think, very little facts are, like I think that, and especially with the new, regime with Lange and stuff like that, I feel like a lot of things are done, a little bit more, like they don't let leaks go out and stuff like that. So when it comes to, what really goes on, I don't feel like, all of us see like the full picture, like the true story of what really goes on. So, when it comes to those kind of things, really the insiders are the ones that really knows what's going on. Now, as far as Ange, I felt like, if I have to guess, yes, he's frustrated, but he's seen what previous managers have gone through. They scream and they kind of like vent their frustration and stuff like that. And in the end, it still didn't work out. They still didn't get what they wanted. So with the bad results that we've been having, I feel like he probably knows that, if he just kind of like threw a tantrum, the chances of him getting sacked is probably going to be a lot more likely than how he's been going about it, kind of just saying all the right things to kind of buy himself a little bit more time. I feel like, he still wants to be here. He wants to turn this thing around. So the way that he's doing it, I feel like, that's part of the reason why he's still here right now.
So, where are you based, Simon? Whereabouts are you in the world? You in America?
Yes, I'm in Texas.
Okay. Yeah, I thought I
Yeah.
recognised a slight tinge of an American accent there. So, is there a big Spurs fraternity in Texas?
Yeah, there is. So I'm in Houston, which is a pretty big city. So they have a Houston Spurs here and stuff like that. And yeah, every game day they have a little Irish pub that they get together and watch the game and everything. I have two little ones at home, so I don't get to do that anymore. But rain or shine, doesn't matter. We were just in the big island of Hawaii for Thanksgiving, and the game over there was at 3 o'clock in the morning, but I still got up and watch it. But that's just I'm not the only one. There's Spurs fan all over the world that goes through all of that. So yeah, it's frustrating when we're losing, but I mean, yeah, I can either just keep on moaning, or I can just keep doing what I can within things that I can control, which is
You meant
just try to
Craig,
be.
didn't you? You meant Craig moaning all the time.
Hey, you said it, Chris. No.
It's what this club does to you, I'm afraid, isn't it? It's
Well, no, I mean, everybody have different way to go about things, so I'm never gonna, say one is right and one is wrong, But no,
I know what you mean.
I appreciate what you guys are doing. I mean, it's like, yeah, it's definitely a therapy session, and just glad to be able to go on here and try to put a little bit of positivity in it, and just hope that we turn this thing around, because like you said, that's the beauty of what you guys are doing. It's just that everybody have an opinion, and you're just kind of providing that platform where everybody can be heard. um, and yeah, at the end of the day, we all want the same thing, which is for success, because we're all just really like craving for that success right now. And just kind of repeat a lot of what everybody's been saying, is just kind of like, yeah, what is the alternative right now?
Simon, just to end on a positive note, who would you like to see really step up? Who are you tipping to step up from now until the end of the season and finish the season well in a Spurs shirt?
Well, I mean, I try to be also kind of realistic about that.
Yeah.
And I feel like, you know, with Archie and Lucas, I feel like the ceilings for them is really, really high. And, one positive that's been out of this whole thing is how they've been just kind of like, forced to play the amount of minutes that they've been playing, and kind of like, I feel like they've been kind of fast tracked to becoming the player that they can eventually become. So I just hope that they can just keep ticking on, and you know, from now until the end of the season, just be even that much better than what they've been showing. I know Archie has been really, really consistently good. Luca's been pretty good the last, couple of games and stuff like that. Had a little bit of a rough beginning, but it's been really coming on. So I just hope that from now until the end of the season, they can just, keep the form, improve on the form that they're on right now. And then, just for the senior players to slowly coming back and just, kind of make the team that much deeper and stronger.
Simon, I don't know whether you heard the conversation we had earlier about the paint, but Matt in the comments here has just reminded me that Dulux is Tottenham's official paint partner. You look like you've used the right paint on your walls.
I don't have any pun at all. You guys been killing with the puns. I've been sitting here cracking up. So, but yeah, no, I'm not that clever. So I'll leave that up to you guys.
Simon, thank you so much.
Thank you, and I mean, I know that you guys been, or you, Chris, been getting a little bit of grief about, what were you doing and stuff like that, and I'm really sorry that you have to go through all that. Just want to, let you know that I appreciate what you do. Just full of gratitude here, and please just keep up the good work. All the best wishes, in the future.
Thank you.
And yeah, come on, you Spurs.
Nice one. Thanks, Simon.
And you too, Craig. You too. Stop
Thanks,
moaning.
buddy. Cheers later.
Cheers, Simon.
See you later.
Thank you soon.
All right, have a good one.
Do I moan a lot?
Yeah, you do. And you need to smile more. A lot of people have told you that.
How many times have we got to go over this? It's my face. I can't change my face. I've got a resting, miserable.
Keep mentioning Dulux. Someone will send this podcast to Dulux. They'll sponsor the channel, and we'll get all the Dulux.
Absolutely, yeah. Other paints
you.
are available. But Dulux is the best.
They're not
although personally, I'll do like Wick's own brand of paint. Actually, I find it covers just as well as Dulux. To be fair,
no, that's exactly where the problems begin. If you're getting dodgy paint, you see. You've got to stay with the proper brand.
No, I get Dulux. I've got Dulux in the house, but I've also used Wick's own brand, and it's just as good. B&Q, I didn't find Colours as good. It's called Colours, isn't it? Or it was. Why are we talking about paint? So
let's ask Terry. Let's ask Terry about the paint. Terry,
I need a comfort break. So you carry on, you two. I'll be back in a minute.
Terry, how are you? How are you feeling right now?
I don't know where to begin, mate. Yeah, it's just painful, isn't it? Like, I watch every single game without foul, but of late I've been tempted to not bother, to be honest with you. I think a few calls back, the guy said he was up until Everton, he was Anjin, and that was a bit like me final now in the coffin, really. I'm not Anjin, don't get me wrong. I do like the guy. I do think he needs a plan B. Can be gung-ho at times. We say about all these injuries coming back, but let's be real. We played Palace. We had a back five then, pretty sure.
Yeah.
We only missed Van der Ven. Our defence has been a problem, like it was since the Chelsea game. Was it 4-1 in 2023, whatever it was? So we've lost something like 25 and 53. That's just horrendous, I don't know what the solution is. I'm not saying he needs to go. I think at least stay to the end of the season. I think we could have done with that Muani coming in because we're desperate for wingers right now. We're lacking creativity massively. You said earlier as well about who would you like to see step up? It's got to be Sonny. He is captain. He is a club legend. However, he's been missing, for a good few games now. That chance he had when he was through, and then he just knew the defender was there against Everton and just waited and waited, screaming at the telly. Old Sonny would have slotted at home. He's a lovely bloke, and I don't know, just like the other few calls back as well, it's about Roy Keane. I think that's what we miss. Even like we don't have anyone like that. Even a few seasons, well, a good few seasons ago when we used to have like Sandro. I know you're good mates with him. I met him in Paris, funny enough. Good bloke, but he used to make big challenges and used to get a crowd up for it. and I feel like we don't have that. I know Bergvall puts in a tackle here and then, but he's a bit naive. Seems to get yellow every other game without foul. I think that he's the new Lamella. He loves to goes with a challenge, but I do think he's a talent. I just don't know where we go from here really. I think we need a striker, whether it's a loan, whatever it may be. Obviously, I know Scarlett's come back. I know obviously Lancashire's been on the bench, but can you ever see Ange going 4-4-2 when we need to get a goal at the end of the game? He doesn't like to change his methods, does he?
No, it's fully expected as well, Terry. That I know a lot of people have been saying, "Oh, is this our signing?" Bringing Dane Scarlett back, but it's fully expected that he's going to go and find another loan. Because I think he's been an unused sub 3 out of the last 6 games for Oxford. So the whole point of loan deals is experience, getting them game time, and Dane Scarlett clearly isn't getting the game time that he requires at Oxford. Talking about strikers, though, of course, Solanke's out for a couple of weeks. Richarlison, as I mentioned a couple of callers ago, about him. What have you made of Richarlison in the Spurs shirt? Because you've probably heard me say this on a previous couple of shows that I want to see the Basuma that played for Brighton. I want to see the Richarlison that played for Everton. Where are they? Richarlison. I feel like it's been really frustrating. Do you feel now that he can go on that run like he did last season? He did have that spell where he was such an important player for us.
Yeah, I remember he got a couple of goals at Everton, didn't he? And there was great finishes that one at Everton. I don't know. Do you know what? Going back years, we had Sean Davis from Fulham. I think it was Danny Murphy. I think we always got the top players at the teams, like the Richarlisons. They come to us and they don't really end up doing anything. I just feel like we've done that for years. I don't think he's the answer, but I would have started him if he was fully fit on Sunday. But obviously, he's only just come back, so it's pretty understandable that he didn't start. He's got to start going forward. He has to be our main striker. But I do think he needs some help. And obviously, Lancashire has obviously played a couple of games in Europe. Is he ready for the Prem yet? I'm not sure. Who can we get as a second fiddle striker if you want? Obviously Richarlison does well for Brazil, but I don't know. Someone else said I don't think he's a 60 million striker, which I don't think he is. Solanke is, and Solanke's done amazing. But we ain't got the wingers to support him. I hope Richarlison goes on a little run like he did last season. I'm not convinced, but I don't know what other options we have right now. Lancashire, but again, very unproven.
What players do you want to see come in? What positions, Terry, in this transfer window, if possible, of course?
Well, I thought Moani would have been a good signing because I know he can play on the wing and obviously he can go up top as well. I thought he was perfect because we need both. So I hate to say it, but like a Rashford or someone that's maybe on the wing but can also do a job up top. Obviously, a bit like Sonny, but however, obviously Sonny can't play as a striker. I think that's null and void now. I don't think he can do that job. So I think we definitely need a striker and definitely need a winger because I don't think our wingers are good enough. Obviously, I think I know we've got Solomon out on loan. I think he's better than Werner. I don't know why we're paying him something like 170 grand a week. I think obviously he's lost a lot of confidence, but he's massively struggling. Johnson as well, paid big money for him. Obviously had his good bit of running form a couple months ago when got a few goals, but is he good? Can he just get tapping at the back post? I can't remember the last time I actually seen him beat a man. I think the only person that's been direct lately is Spence, and he's a fullback. I'm just like, I need someone that's direct and actually going to go for it. That's what we're missing. I know Bergvall's carrying us kind of forward from a midfield area, but your wingers are, the ones that are going to beat a man and create a chance. And I don't, Kulusevski's doing really well. He just lacks that tiny bit of pace. If he had that bit of pace, I think that'd take him to the next level because he does beat a man, but then they tend generally catch up with him. So, I don't know if Eze's a possibility, probably not. I know obviously you're linked with him in the summer. Probably be highly unlikely now. I know they've just got a lad from Millwall, so I think he's a winger. But I can't see them probably letting him go. A winger and a striker ideally. Probably unlikely. Probably won't end up with anyone than us.
Terry, lastly, you mentioned Jed Spence there. He's been a revelation this season, and by accident, if you like, because he's really taken his opportunity, hasn't he? Ever since that pre-season game at Hearts, Ange gave him the chance. I think even Ange didn't think it was going to work out this way, but he really has taken his chance, and fair play to him. When all of our players are back, who would you like to see at right back, Porro or Spence?
I don't even know if I'd take Udogie left back and stick Spence left back and keep Porro right back. Udogie had a really good first season. This season, I think he hasn't been that good from what I've seen of him. I think he's definitely very close to running right or left back. Obviously, when Porro started, he was very good offensively, but lacked defensively. But he's got better at that. I do think sometimes he needs to just concentrate on the game instead of cheering every tackle he makes. Sometimes I like it, but it's like every other challenge. It's like, yes, that's your job, mate. Come on, crack on. Like, do you know what I mean? So, but Spence, I think he's not been in the Europa squad is shambles. He's had to be there. Reguilon, he's no good. He's got to go. So he's only in the squad because we're so low on numbers. But Spence has been really good. I took my son to his first proper game, Liverpool game, and he was scanned to me. He's only 6. I keep apologising to him and say, sorry, son, you've got this for the rest of your life like me. But, he's going, Spence is really well. You could see, he was like, Spence is doing everything. So in a Liverpool game, he was really good. And like I said, in Everton, I think he was the only one that was actually driving us forward. He was looking to beat a man and do something. So I would start him, definitely. Don't know where, though, left back or right back. Obviously, Porro can whip a good ball in. But I think we need his pace, like against Salah in the Liverpool game, he could keep up with him. Where, if Porro's up against Salah, I'm not sure we would have done so well. So,
Terry, very quickly, the last player that you got really excited about that Spurs signed?
I don't know. I see when you're asking this, and I didn't know what the answer would have been for me. To be fair, I was a bit hyped about Bale coming back. Obviously, it was Bale, Son, and Kane, which was an amazing front three. But obviously, he wasn't the player that he once was. But Van der Vaart was amazing. Partnership he had with Crouch and stuff. Yeah, that was probably the one I got most excited about. But hopefully, there's one coming soon. But I know Christmas has just gone. But fingers crossed. You never know. But yeah. Do you know, can Kinski play on Thursday? I don't know if that's been asked.
No, he can't.
He can't. So will Forster, do you reckon, come in? Or is he back in training?
Forster or Austin, yeah.
I think, do you know what? I think Forster actually done really well. Apart from the Man United game, I think he was actually probably our best player for a few games. Man of match for me in a few games. He made some really good saves. And obviously, the problem people get on his back, and, when I was at the Liverpool game, they were saying, don't play at the back from him. Obviously, Kinski was loving to do that. But it's what Ange wants. They ain't going to change. This is what they get told to do. Obviously, Kinski's a lot better with his feet than Forster is. But if your manager tells you to do something, you do it. So, he messed up on that game. But I think he actually done all right. And he's been really poor when he's come in bit part. But when he's actually had a run of games, I think he's done all right for us, to be fair. But hopefully, obviously, Kinski can give Vicario a run for his money when he's back. But I don't know. Let's just hope for some signings. And hopefully, I think Ange needs to stay to the end of the season. I think it's a bit silly for him to go now. If he did go, I said, to be fair, if he loses to Everton and Leicester, he's gone, because they're 2 games we should 100% be winning. So we never know. If we do lose to Leicester, he could be gone. But who knows? But if he does go, I would get Harry in for the interim. I just think he'd build confidence for the players and then look at it in the future. Probably unlikely, but look, give Xabi Alonso some money or something. He's, a young manager. That's what we need, I think. Obviously the Brighton manager's been doing well. See if we can go down that route. I was really gutted we didn't get Slot, because I thought he was pretty much nailed on at one point. His firm favourite. I'm pretty gutted we didn't get him, because he's done really well. Liverpool have conceded, taken the least amount of shots this season. So, and we're probably taking the most. So, we clearly need to win games. We need to stop ball going in the back of our net, and obviously that's what we're struggling with.
You know what, Terry? At the moment, with the betting companies, and Postecoglou is favourite to be the next Premier League manager sacked.
I saw that. I was looking last night.
Yeah, but you never know. Suddenly Ange goes on a winning run with Spurs, in the next couple of weeks, and we climb up that Premier League table, put a trophy in the cabinet. We'll probably look back at this stream saying, "Do you remember when we were talking about, will Ange Postecoglou last week?" You never know in football, do you?
I never do. Well, I hope
Terry,
you're right.
Terry, you've been a great guest. Please come back and see us again soon. You're very, very welcome. Thank you so much for joining us.
We'll do, mate. Take care. See you later, guys.
Cheers, Terry. Thanks.
Right, we're now going to go to Stephen. Steve, we'll come back to you in a second. I'm so sorry for keeping you waiting. There have been so many great guests today, and a few people are asking in the stream, how can you get involved? Please just send me an email, tottenhamfanchris@gmail.com. We've got Stephen with us. Stephen, how are you?
Good evening, gentlemen. It's great to be back on the show. I'm landscape this time. Hopefully the sound and picture will be better. Cheers, guys. An Australian wine. 19 primes. Talking about an Australian wine, Ange Postecoglou. Now, I was on with Barnaby on after the Everton game, and I agreed with him that I think Ange has got to go. Now, it breaks my heart. I was almost in tears watching Ange. This might sound soft, but I did a little video for him called I Am a Clown, the old David Cassidy tune. And there was a picture of a clown, him and chairman at the beginning, and there was footage of Ange in the press conferences, but there was also some positive stuff about it. Was basically built around the 4-0 win at Manchester City. And when I did complete the video, put it online, I was almost in tears because I feel so sorry for this man that I want him to do so well. But I said, didn't I, the other night, I thought we'd get beat by Everton, and I thought that he's not going to prove me wrong. And do you know what? I don't think he's going to prove me wrong. I think he's going to go. And I think we'll get beat on Thursday, and I think we'll get beat against Leicester, and I think he'd be gone. I hope I'm wrong. I really hope I'm wrong, but it breaks my heart because against City, I'm watching that City game again. We were absolutely brilliant that day. What's gone wrong since then? The league form has been a nightmare. Yeah, Liverpool in the cup was great, but can you really see us going to Anfield with all the injuries you've got? And I don't think you can keep using injuries as an excuse because look at Bournemouth. And if I was Daniel Levy, I'd get the Bournemouth manager. I don't agree that no one can come in now. And I don't always agree with what the journalists say. They've got an agenda sometimes. I think if we made an offer that the Bournemouth manager can't refuse, a bit of Marlon Brando time, horse his head in the bed, just get him at Tottenham because I think he's the man for us. Now, people say we've broken managers. Look, Mourinho was a busted flush. So was Conte. And let's not talk about Nuno. Nuno's only doing well at Forest because there's no pressure. Tottenham's a massive club, the 8th biggest club in the world financially. And we're still a great club. And I don't think Ange is up to it. I'm sorry, Ange. Mate, I'd love you to do well, but I don't think you're going to, mate. I think, look, if Levy holds his nerve, because I heard Simon Jordan today, and he was saying he hopes Levy holds his nerve and sticks with Ange. And he said, that, and I respect Simon Jordan. I think it makes a lot of sense, even though he's a Palace fan. But, and he said that, he's got to do better, Ange, so is Levy, and so have the players. But look, if Levy doesn't pull the trigger and he goes to, obviously because you'll be there Thursday, he goes there and he gets a result. Look, like Brian Digger, I would take 2 draws. I would take 2 draws against Leicester, and because I feel we're going to get beat by Leicester. I may sound pessimistic, and when I came on last time, I sounded really. I thought we were going to get relegated, and I still think we could. I think if we stick with Ange, we could go down, and I'm really worried about it. And how do you guys feel after, since the Everton game? Because I said we'd lose, didn't I? I wasn't going to be wrong. Do you feel a little bit more nervous now about it? Because I still feel we could go down.
I don't think we're going to get relegated, Stephen, because the teams below us are so bad. But what my question is when you came onto the screen, you had a guitar around your neck. Are you going to sing us a song?
Do you know what? I was just learning, trying to remember some of the old Tottenham songs because I was big. I love Chaz and Dave, but maybe for another day. By the way, if you don't mind, Chris, just because I would love, can I plug my album while I'm on? Just plug my album. As you see under my name, we've got Another Cold Beer. That's my album. So if you put Another Cold Beer into Google, you'll find all about me. I've got my album on every digital platform. And the title track, you might have heard the title track. It was used in a TV ad years ago. Kate Moss, the supermodel for Rimmel Mascara. That was me. I'm also a session musician. I played in Alice Cooper's #1 album a couple of years ago on one of the tracks for the guitar solo on there. So I'm in the music business, but
I thought it was a plug, not an advert.
Yeah, sorry, that's the plug over. But my other passion in life, apart from music, is Tottenham Hotspur. I love this club, and it breaks my heart. It breaks my heart to see us with a laughing stock. With a laughing stock, we're being bantered, aren't we? I dread to listen to TalkSport. Well, I'm not listening to TalkSport tonight. They say Jason Gunny, has anyone seen Tottenham? I can't listen to that. But I want to be wrong. I want to be wrong. I really want to be wrong. But I'm sorry, Ange, mate. You know, I think you're a dead man walking, and I wish you could have done it, because when I see that City, I watched that City game again the other day, and it's unbelievable. And I don't think you can just say that. Correct me if I'm wrong. Ben Davies was at the back there with Dragosin at the City game in the final, wasn't he? They were at the back. So all this thing about Van der Ven and Romero, it's not just always a case of players injured. It's the players we've got. We've got to make the most of them. And I don't think he's making the most of our players. I don't think it's something wrong with the training. All these hamstring injuries, there's got to be something wrong with the training. He's overdoing it with the guys, and you know, I fear he's going to go. And I just think what I'm worried about is we don't get the Bournemouth manager and someone else beats us to it, because you know, the way he's going, you know, Real Madrid could be knocking on his door soon. So I hope Andrews proves me wrong. I hope he goes to Europe and wins, and I hope we beat Leicester. But I think if he loses to Leicester on Saturday, which I think we could well do,
has that ever happened? Real Madrid knocking on Bournemouth's door?
It will be a first, wouldn't it? It will be a first. Don't you think this Bournemouth manager, what he's doing is incredible?
Yeah,
I think it is. But I think it's still early for him. I think I would liken it to Nuno, like you said, Nuno. There's no pressure. I don't think there's any pressure on this chap at Bournemouth. But that's not to say he's not doing a brilliant job. He's doing a fantastic job.
Nuno wasn't going to Newcastle winning 4-1, was he? He was doing okay at Wolves, but he wasn't doing. I mean, Bournemouth have beaten Arsenal, they've beaten City, they've beaten United. He's doing amazing things. And look, I see what you're saying. You know, can he step up for Tottenham? But one of my Arsenal mates, I do have Arsenal friends now, he says that he was a childhood friend of Arteta, the Bournemouth manager, that they were childhood friends. They grew up. And I just think the Spanish culture, because football in Spain is, the pressure there is like, you know, not like the here. I think he could cope with the pressure. I don't think, you know, the Portuguese league, with no respect to Nuno, is that the Spanish culture of football with your Barcelonas and your Real Madrids. It's like England, isn't it? Like same with Italy. You know, Conte was a bit of a disaster. I know he got his Champions League in this first season, but the way he threw the club under the bus. One thing I will give Ange is that he never makes excuses. I know he's telling about the injuries now. You know, I don't think you can blame all the injuries, but he doesn't throw us under the bus. I thought the way Conte, people have said, you know, they were pleased that Conte had the ram. I thought the way he threw our players under the bus. Now, some of them deserve it, but he included everyone in that. What, Harry Kane? Harry Kane's given everything. He gave everything to this club. I know when he wanted to go to City, he lost a lot of bit of support, you know, including from me. But and the way people are having to go at Sonny, I've got to come back to that. Give this man a break. Look, even the greatest players, some of the greatest players we've ever had, can suffer a crisis of confidence. Sonny, you can tell his confidence is shot. He looks shot, but I don't think he's finished. You know, we've got to play our strongest team in Europe midweek.
Stephen, I don't know whether you're up for it. We've got one more guest to talk to, Steve. If you want to sing a song after we've spoke to Steve, and you can close the show for us.
All right, I have to go downstairs. I might be because my daughter and wife are asleep. So I'll do you a little song. How about that?
We'll come back to you in a couple of minutes. So if you prepare, and then you can give your album and your music a good plug as well. Okay, we'll see you in a couple of minutes.
Okay, mate.
Brilliant. What a way to end the show. That's going to be good.
We're now going to go to Steve. Steve, I'm so sorry for keeping you waiting.
It's a great show. Great show. What a great
We've spoken to so many great people tonight. What have you agreed with? What have you disagreed with?
Everything really. I mean, you know, people are divided, so everybody's got their opinion, which they're entitled to. So I'm very much still Ange in though. Yeah, I think we just need to go to the end of the season and, you know,
and then reassess it from there. Because there's no point in changing the manager now, because sometimes it doesn't work. Look at Leicester City; they're not doing great. They changed their manager. Man United aren't doing great. They changed their manager, so it doesn't always work, does it? So, no, I'll definitely Ange and stick with him to the end of the season, and then reassess.
So, how long do you give him though after that, Steve? Essentially, what I'm saying is, what's got to happen. I mean, if he wins a cup, does he get another season? Because he's done better than Mourinho. He's done better than Conte. He's done better than Poch. He's done better than Nuno. He's done better than Mason. He's done better than AVB. Redknapp. What do we do?
I think if he wins a cup, and then they say, all right, okay, we'll stick with you, he needs to be back properly in the summer, doesn't he? That's the main thing about it. He needs to be backed, because like so many people said tonight, including yourself, 20 days into the January transfer window, and we've signed a goalkeeper. So and it's going to get to transfer deadline day, and they're going to say, "Oh, we nearly got something over the line, but it didn't happen." So yeah, I think
Steve.
Yeah,
Steve, you ever had a dodgy pot of paint?
No. No, I don't think so. Not that I'm aware of, no. No, that was great, that, bro. But you were saying about who's carrying the can and stuff, and Craig said something about he's been given a 1-inch brush. Who's giving him that 1-inch brush to paint that wall?
Good question.
Exactly. See.
So,
Steve, you're either really tall or your phone's on the toe. You make me feel really short. There we go. Yeah. No. Although that what I said about the brush was obviously a tongue-in-cheek joke, it's probably right though, to be honest, because if you are trying to do something like that with insufficient tools, then you're going to fail, wouldn't you?
Yeah. You know what I mean? It's I really wanted to work with him because I really like him. And like so many people said, you can see the potential of what he's trying to do, but it's just, it's down to not having the players, and did like promotion yesterday, just didn't work. So yeah, I mean, it's tough, isn't it, at the moment? But
yeah,
if we can get to a cup final, Wembley, we could possibly win another cup with another Aussie. You know what I mean? So it's that's it. I think we need to just give him time, see what happens for the rest of the season, and then reassess.
Steve, we can hear your dog again, and tell everyone about, because this feels like Britain's Got Talent now on this show, because your dog can sing.
Oh yeah, I sent you the video, Chris, by email. So have you watched it? Did you watch it? Yeah.
How good is that?
That was just one of those things. I tried it, and he came out and did it. So it's
brilliant.
It's not a Dulux. It's not a Dulux dog, is it? Oh, here we go.
There he is.
Oh, look at him.
So yeah, he's really come on you, Spurs. So
brilliant.
He disturbs me every single time I watch football, though. As soon as the game starts, he's like, "Oh, all right."
Right, Steve. What is the dog's prediction for the scoreline against Hoffenheim and Leicester? Then
no idea. I've no idea. What do you have to say?
No, he's not impressed, is he? Don't look good.
When we lost to Everton, he was very, very quiet afterwards, like me.
Oh, dear.
Yeah, no, it's it is what it is, isn't it? At the moment, we just got to ride the storm, like I said before. So, if we get to a cup final, win a cup, great. So, but yeah, no, you've had a lot of great guests on tonight. Chris, you need to start charging people for this therapy. Seriously,
I said earlier today I didn't even want to talk about Spurs, and then we've all sat here for nearly 4 hours talking about everything Tottenham Hotspur.
Give him a trial. Get the dog pay back. Give him a trial.
Steve, last question for you: who will be the Spurs manager at the start of next season? Our first Premier League game of next season. Who will be the manager?
I want to say Postecoglou. No, not me. I want to say Postecoglou. I really want it to work for him. I really do. Yeah, I really do want it to work for him. But if not, then who knows? Who's going to come in and deal with Daniel Levy?
Yeah.
Will they be backed again? This is what I'm saying. It all comes down to being backed and stuff. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, I don't know. But I'm hoping and praying that we can turn this around, win a cup, and then Postecoglou will be there next season and we can kick on from there. So,
Craig, you better give Steve another question because the other Stephen's still in hair and makeup sorting his guitar out. So we better keep Steve talking.
I was going to say, is Stephen ready to give us a song yet?
What have these shows turned into?
I think the dog's going to have to take over if Stephen's. Oh no, I can see him. Stephen is looking like he's gearing up. So unless your dog wants to,
what he needs to do is he needs to team up with James for the cup final song. What do you reckon?
that'd be good. That'd be good. Backing vocals or something like that. That'd be good. Yeah. That's what we want to hear, though. We want to hear "I'm Loving Big Ange" instead. That's what we want. We want those days back because that stadium was unbelievable. You know, freed from desire, banging out at the end of the game. You know, it's just seems a long way away at the moment.
I mean, I was at the Villa game and it was rocking after that. Do you know what I mean? And then obviously when we beat Liverpool in the cup, it was rocking again, like Chris said, and but now it's not consistent enough. But like you say, I'm loving Big Ange instead, and Free from Desire, and everything. So, but yeah, I think, but great show as always, guys. Absolutely.
Thanks,
fantastic.
Steve. Thanks, Steve.
Yeah, and have a good time in Hoffenheim on Thursday, Chris.
Thank you, Steve. Yeah, I appreciate it, and thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, no problem, mate.
Cheers,
cool.
Steve.
You guys,
We'll speak to you soon.
See you later.
Cheers, mate.
Bye, doggy. Bye.
What have these shows turned into, Craig? Talking about Tottenham, now talking about dogs, getting musicians on singing songs. We don't know what's coming. We don't know what's coming, by the way.
And it's probably approaching the longest podcast ever again, 3 hours 43, and there's over 2,800 of you mad people watching us talking about Tottenham. So it just goes to show
dogs, paint.
We've been talking about dogs. We've been talking about paint. We can do wallpaper next time. We can do anything on this podcast. Anything you want us to talk about, ask us questions. Anything about anything.
No, let's not do that.
probably
we'll be banned. Actually, at least you smile more. At least you smile more when we're talking about random stuff.
Yeah, because we ain't lost. Yeah,
that's true.
So is Stephen ready to play us out or what? That's what I want to know.
Stephen, are you ready? Give us a thumbs up if you are ready. Oh no, he's still getting ready. He's a bit of a diva, old Stephen. He's working worse than Ricky Norwood. Craig, actually, before we go to Stephen, tell me how you're feeling about this next week. In all seriousness, because I said this a couple of days ago. The Everton game was a must-win game, and then like 3-0 down at half time. I know we brought it back to 3-2, but it's still a defeat. Still very, very disappointing. And I wasn't a happy bunny yesterday. But talking about Thursday's game, Europa League, talking about Sunday's game against Leicester. They are both must-win games. We've got to win both of these matches.
Yeah, we have. And I said that, these games coming up, there were four winnable matches, which included, obviously, Everton, and we've stumbled in that one. We've spoken on our group. We said, if Ange loses to Hoffenheim and Leicester, I can't see how he carries on. But from what we know, the club are going to be supporting him and backing him loosely with a small b. So we just don't know. It just strikes me as funny that the club are in a sort of funny situation because of the situation with Ange. I think the club probably realised if they want to push the button, that who do they bring in? Well, we get Ryan Mason probably till the end of the season. As much as I'd love us if we got rid of Ange, that we go get a Harry Redknapp, but I can't see that happening. I just don't think Daniel's going to employ Harry Redknapp again. It's just a mess at the moment. But this game Thursday is what we spoke before. It's all about momentum. All about momentum. What's that say? Cynthia and Stephen Smith. Yeah.
We're
Isn't
about
it,
to
you know,
wake half. We're about to wake half the neighbourhood up because I've asked Stephen to sing a song.
Is he ready yet? Stephen, you ready yet?
I don't know if you can see me, guys. Can you see me at all? I'm in the garden.
We can see you, Stephen.
It's really dark.
He's in the garden.
I'm in the garden. I don't like my neighbours very much, so I don't give a toss if I wake
Oh,
up.
bet they'll love you. Go for it then. Let's hear it, Stephen. Playing us out.
Right, I'm going to do a bit of a Tottenham theme song here. It's hard to tune up in the dark, but never mind. Close enough for rock and roll.
Go for it.
Right, Bittersweet Symphony. They used it in the TVA. Bit of Richard Ashcroft. But I'm going to do a Tottenham-inspired version. So for all you Spurs fans, I don't know if you can see me. You're feeling down, never give up on this club. Because Tottenham is like a bittersweet symphony. Everybody. Da, 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 cause it's a bittersweet symphony, this Tottenham. Couldn't support any other team, cause we love our beautiful Tottenham. I take you down the only road I've ever been down. You know, the one that takes you to the stadium that used to be White Hart Lane. Never change your club. No change, I can change, I can change, I can change. Cause I'm here at the lane. I am here at the lane. And I'm a million different people from one day to the next. I can't change my club. No, 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 no. Come on, you Spurs. Come on, you Spurs. Come on, you Spurs. Come on, you Spurs. We love you, Tottenham. We love you, Tottenham. We love you, Tottenham. We love you, Tottenham. It's a bittersweet symphony. Tottenham Hotspur, baby. It's really dark. I can hardly see a thing, but I just want to say we love the one and only Tottenham Hotspur. I can't see what I'm doing. It's probably a bit out of tune, but hey, I'm game for a laugh when it comes to Spurs. Love you guys.
That's absolutely fantastic.
So we can get to Wembley.
Absolutely fantastic.
My album
Well
sounds a lot better than that. But it is dark. I can't see what I'm doing. And my wife's probably going to kill me for the neighbours are horrible.
Oh God!
Come on, you Spurs.
Brilliant. That's got to be clipped and put on as a proper video for that. Superb.
Love you guys.
Well done, Steve. Thanks so much.
Take care, boys.
Stephen, before you go, tell everyone where they can find you online.
Yeah, just if you put Another Cold Beer into Google, you'll find my album and you'll find out all about me. Like I say, my two loves in life are music and Tottenham Hotspur. I love this club, and so much so I'd come outside in the pitch dark, can't see what I'm playing, what I'm doing, but I had a go. And that's what we've got to do.
You're a star.
We've got to have a go, Tottenham. Have a go. on Thursday, and let's try and win. And I just want Ange to prove me wrong. I really do. Come on, Ange, mate. Prove me wrong. Go and do it for us, because we love this.
Nice one.
Bittersweet Symphony Club, but we love it, don't we? Love you guys.
Cheers, Steve.
Stephen. Thank you so much. I know I put you on the spot, but thank you so much.
Arrest me for noise nuisance. I'm only joking.
What a show! What a show,
Cheers,
Stephen.
mate.
Thank you so much. We'll speak to you soon.
Cheers, mate. Cheers, Craig.
Cheers.
See ya. See you,
Come on,
mate.
you
Bye-bye.
Spurs.
Brilliant.
Oh my God, Craig! What a show! Nearly 4
What a
hours.
show. Incredible. What a way to finish as well.
It started by you not even being here. It started by me talking into a microphone and the microphone not even working. I was on mute, and it's finished like that.
Brilliant. It started off badly, but a rousing crescendo at the end, I think it's fair to say. So yeah, really good show. Really good.
Well, Craig, thank you so much for joining us. It's been a really, really good, fun podcast, actually. Just what we needed. We needed a laugh tonight, and we certainly got one in more ways than one.
We did.
Yes. Craig, thank you so much. Thank you for watching, everyone. Thanks for listening. And as Craig said, there's nearly 3,000 people watching live at the moment, which is simply incredible. And in all seriousness, from watching and listening to a lot of the Spurs fans tonight all around the world, and it's incredible who we speak to, where people are dotted around the world. It is really amazing how many people do watch this channel, and the reach, the countries that we actually get to. And lots of people have a lot of great input as well. But so many different opinions. As I said before, no one's right, no one's wrong. We've all got different opinions. We all want the same thing, though. We all want success at our football club. And I suppose that needs to start on Thursday at Hoffenheim. We need to get a win. We need to get a win at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium as well on Sunday, and take each game as it comes, get the players back. Will Ange Postecoglou get players in? That's going to be the $1 million question in the next couple of weeks. I certainly hope that he does get backed. I certainly hope that we do win the next couple of games and we can start, winning football matches again and smiling again. But Craig will be back with the Spurs Chat podcast. He will be hosting on Thursday after the Hoffenheim game, when hopefully we have got the 3 points in the Europa League. As I say, thank you so much for all of your support, everyone on this channel. And we'll see you very, very soon. Come on, you Spurs.